Welcome to the Red Gauge Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Kyle. This is Josh. And today we're joined by the incomparable Chris Smith. Chris was a collegiate decathlete, right? Decathlon was your baby?
Yep.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about all the great things, the rise and fall of sport in a person's life. It's a wonderful time. If you could like, comment, subscribe, and share, it helps out the show a ton. We really appreciate it. And I'm back in the tiny seat. I'm excited.
Back in the tiny seat.
Josh is in the biggest seat. That's his favorite spot. He likes it when we have three
I
people.
just come over here and sit in the chair by myself. I just look at myself. It's a confidence booster.
I made a mistake giving him a key to my shop because he just shows up here. In the middle of the night, I'll come out and get a glass of water or something, and he'll be...
Part of Red Gauge coaching is we just take all your photos from a fisheye lens.
Yeah.
Like half of it will get you success, but then we'll just take fancy photos.
It's just, everybody does the side chest pose, and we do it with the fisheye lens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes it makes me look like I have hair. Like, that's how good it is.
That's a good pose.
Not possible.
Anyway, thanks for coming, Chris.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Do you want to tell us about how you got into sport?
Yeah. So my family is kind of...
Probably got to get a little closer.
Sorry.
And I don't know if I can bring it further towards you, but...
Yeah, so...
And throw that hat in the trash.
No.
49ers. Joe Montana.
Yep, Steve Young.
We've all been there.
San Francisco. Full house. We're just saying things that are...
Joe Montana was actually on the 49ers,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
He was, right?
Yeah, good job.
Okay, good. I was worried there for a minute that maybe...
Kyle knows football.
Does he?
No.
I didn't think so.
I don't know football at all.
So yeah, my uncle was a big-time pole vaulter here in Shelton. He actually, I think, had the most vaults over 14 feet
Okay.
in high school career. So I kind of got into it because of him.
Name drop?
Mike Hoff.
Uncle Hoff.
Mm-hmm. He kind of got me into it early. I started in middle school, 7th, 8th grade. Didn't really know what I was doing. Lost a lot of meets.
Were you in 7th or 8th grade? Was that the dominance of Stacy Dragila?
Not really.
Or was that a little later or a little earlier?
I think it was a little earlier.
Okay.
But big names. I mean, when I was learning was Sergei Bubka and all that stuff. But when I started is when all the safety stuff started coming out.
Okay.
Where all the injuries were happening through the nation. So you had to have certified coaches, and you couldn't just have your high school.
I couldn't show up and coach pole vault.
Nope. No, you had to have somebody that took a class, and there was, I mean, that's when weights on pole started. So, no, I was 7th, 8th grade. I wasn't an athlete, and I was slow, small.
Yeah.
Not very strong.
I like the idea before that. There was just people out there that were like, hey, Monroe, you want to coach pole vault? And they were just like, all right. You just run as fast as you can and just jam that pole into that hole there. And
Lever
it's going to be good.
yourself into the air.
At one point, your feet are going to go up. You're
Well,
good.
What's even better is back in the day, it was just sawdust.
Mhm.
They would just land in sawdust, hoping that there wasn't something underneath it.
Yeah, the last pole vaulter
Right.
broke his neck.
Yeah. So I remember coming up to the high school. I think you were at the high school at the time, and Andy Dunn was a big-time pole vaulter. There was another kid right behind him, Tyler Thornbrew.
Yep, Tyler. And then we had a couple girls who were really successful. Christy.
Yep.
I forget Christy's last name right now. I feel
Metzger?
terrible. Thank you.
She was my grade.
Yeah.
So Katie Dunn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna hate myself for forgetting her name, but there was like 3 years in a row we had really, really good females pole vaulting, and we had a really good kind of coaching progression for pole vault, and it was really nice. And
yeah, we had a really good just track team.
Yeah.
There was, out of that group, there was 4 or 5 or 6 people who went Division I or were going to and had something come up,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice because they would bring us young kids up and we'd watch. I remember watching Andy Dunn going 14 feet, thinking it was the highest thing I've ever seen. And then Tyler Thornbrew doing 13 feet. And it was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah.
Then fast forward into my freshman year, Mike Johnson was hired as the pole vault coach, and he held the junior record, and it was a 35-year-old record at the time, and I think he was a state champion in pole vault. So Shelton's got a huge history of great pole vaulters. So I got in my freshman year, and he started coaching me and getting me to bend the pole and all things that I never thought I could do. He was a great coach, great mentor. Unfortunately, I don't know if you remember, but after that first year, he ended up passing away.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really rough. He really got the passion in me to pole vault and really go after it. And then I didn't have a coach, so pretty much the rest of my career was for him. Just because he really got the fire going in me.
Yeah. There's a lot about that could be even more powerful than necessarily, like, obviously you would trade that fire for more time.
Right.
But there's probably nothing more powerful than doing something for a lost loved one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was my art teacher, my 8th grade. So I didn't really even know him as an athlete until he came out and started coaching me, and just the little things he would do with us at practice. He was up there in age. He was probably well out of his prime, but he would still get out there and really nitpick everything and really push us to be the best we could be. So like we said earlier, Christy and I both were coached under him, and that's kind of how our high school career started. And then my dark years of high school, I guess I could say, were my sophomore and junior year. We had a pole vault coach, but he wasn't a pole vaulter. He was certified.
Was that your only event?
No. I was a long jumper, and then they would dabble me in sprints and stuff. Later on, I was still pretty slow my younger years until about junior year. I started getting some speed.
Isn't it funny how that develops? Like, I remember not being particularly fast. Like, I wasn't ever the slowest kid on the team, but I wasn't particularly fast through like most of my, like, from hitting puberty until like 17, you know? And then as just I got stronger or whatever, I remember our like senior year, we did some testing at the start of the school year, and I ran the fastest, like I think it was a flying 30 out of anybody on the team by a pretty wide margin. And I was really surprised by it. I was like, where'd that come from?
Yeah, I remember elementary, middle school, and then early high school. Like, I was slow. I was a long distance runner. I like to do cross country and stuff. And then once I guess through puberty, I started getting those fast twitch muscles. And
yeah.
Maybe I'm still waiting for puberty.
Maybe.
Is that when I'm going to get fast?
Waiting for that testosterone to hit.
Yeah, no, I mean,
the beard isn't an indicator that anything's happened yet, or the children,
or the male pattern baldness.
A pattern, or just all over.
There's a pattern.
Bald on the top.
Yeah, I don't.
Are you trying to?
I'm sure there's people. There's hair.
You were curious?
Shut up.
Do you polish it every day?
No.
You don't?
No. It just all comes in all naturally shiny like that.
I thought you were trying to angle your head in the wide part of the camera so that you could make it look bigger.
Even bigger?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you and Coach Lacey.
Yeah, Mike was a great guy, and it was really sad when he passed. And like a lot of people, like if you're coaching, and especially if you're new to it, like don't underestimate the impact that you have on the kids that you're around. Like I've told the story a bunch of times. Like John Sells saved my life. You know, like I was not going to do anything, and I was going to get there as fast as I could. And so having him around was a huge deal. So like, you know, that's a big loss.
Yeah, it was big. And I mean, I don't think I had a way to vent what I was feeling. And then like my sophomore year, Tyler Thornbrew was graduated. There was no real vaulters above me.
Yeah.
I went from a freshman to now I was the top vaulter after all these vaulters before me. And I have a coach that has never coached pole vault, doesn't know how to pole vault, trying to tell me what to do. I'm 14 years old, going through puberty. Yeah, turned into a pretty angry kid during track season. I can tell you that. I walked out of practice quite a few times and almost quit track my sophomore year. But luckily my family was there to kind of help me through it. My uncle, like I said, who pushed me into wanting to be a pole vaulter, kind of helped me out. He would come at practice every now and then and talk with me. Oh wow, I just got louder.
Yeah, I'm trying to make you louder. I'm doing my thing over here.
Hello.
He's just gonna now. All of a sudden, he's gonna start yelling.
Yeah. You want me just to talk really? No. I'm just
Every time he gets louder, he's gonna keep getting quieter.
You're just messing with me the whole time. Like every time you speak, I'm like trying to get it in the right spot. This is why we need a third person who can mess with the knobs when it's not. You don't see them. You know.
I could be that person.
It's always good to have somebody to mess with the knobs.
Yeah, we need a knob person.
Trying to get me in trouble. So I ended up starting to go to camps and formulating my own kind of workout programs, lifts, sprints, some cardio, even though you only run 80 feet each time. I mean, it's still pretty taxing. It's a full body workout. To pull
an 80-foot sprint, full sprint, multiple times. Like that's gonna wear you out.
I think that the general understanding of sport has gone far enough that everybody understands that like 15 to 30 minutes of like low intensity or moderate cardio is not going to hurt your sport no matter what you do. Like,
no.
It's probably going to be good for you as a person and as an athlete. So like there's nothing wrong with doing a little cardio.
No.
And there were others, I'd imagine, like it probably would have been bad, but like at that time at the high school there were other people to fill mentor spots, right? Like we had Coach U in the weight room and everything. Like
so sophomore year is when I started really lifting. Coach U was a big kind of uplift for me, getting me stronger.
Playing with the knobs again.
I know.
I turned on his headphones.
Why?
I don't know. You just look like you needed it.
Oh, okay. I had that look.
He needs quieter headphones.
Yeah.
This
Is it too quiet now?
No.
This is why Cofield sits there. He knows.
I know the knobs.
He knows looks.
I'm the knob man.
If there's anything anybody knows about Cofield is he knows how to really engage with human-to-human contact.
He's a mind reader.
Yep.
All right, back to sophomore.
Yeah,
and it's not like you weren't having success. Like I don't. You're saying it's a dark. But
so I actually set the sophomore school record.
Right.
Made it to districts. Was 10th in. Was I ranked 10th in state? I think I was ranked 10th in state my sophomore year.
Let's say 9th. No one's fact checking that shit.
11th.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's go the other way. So.
John Sells is gonna email in.
He's got the spreadsheet.
It was fucking 12.
Right. No. So yeah, I was pretty successful, but I kind of feel like I was mostly self-taught. Wasn't the internet back then. So
yeah, I mean that's actually a really like clutch takeaway is like the internet did exist, but it was not a reliable resource.
No.
Like who knows what you were going to find?
No.
You know, and if any of it was going to be useful. And
yeah. And to record something that actually was of quality to be able to post online was really hard to find.
Yeah, you probably were more likely to get like an explanation.
Yeah, text explanation. Maybe 2 or 3 still pictures.
Right.
Yep.
But nobody's talking about what that transition looks like or feels like, or you know what the pressure in your hands is on the pole or whatever, right? Like it's not...
Yeah. So like I said, Sergey Bubka was a world record holder back then, and I would watch old videos of him vaulting and pause them myself and then rewind them and watch his form, and then just from drills that Coach Johnson had from freshman year, I kept doing those, and I mean, it's pretty taxing on the body to pole vault. So you had to, for meet weeks, you had to be sure you get your practice in, but you had enough time to rest. Because it's full body explosive workout every time you plant that pole in the ground. So
it's so unlike anything else. Like there's obviously some things that are going to carry over, like general like muscular ability, general jumping and everything, but it's such an odd technique. Like there's nothing else where it's like, oh, and we're going to hold on here and then all of a sudden we're going to be shooting our legs straight up over our goddamn head. You know what I mean? And then doing like a freaking overhead press upside down. Like, there's not a lot other than pole vault that it's gonna like, oh, this is translating really well to my pole vault.
Right. If you took pole vault, everything up until the plan of the pole is exactly like long jump. Like your foot hits the ground, your knee drive, and you jump. After that, it's gymnastics pretty much.
Yeah.
Like
how many vaults, like how many at like effort could you do in a training session? Because I know like if you're gonna practice throwing a football, right, you might be able to throw hundreds of times, you know, especially if you're just working on like targets and hitting a moving person or something. Shot put, like, it takes a little bit to get into shape for it, but you can do 16 or 20. Like, how many vaults can you do in a session?
Good quality vaults would probably be about a dozen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it depends on what you're doing too. If you're just trying to work on form, you can get on a smaller pole and work like just getting upside down and not anything else, and then ride that pole all the way down to the mat. Or if you're trying to actually work your top end, that's where your vault numbers get down, because like you have to work everything to actually
get that
up.
pull and push and everything.
Well, I guess that's the hard part, right? Because like most skills you could break down, and it's like, oh, I'm only gonna work on this portion. But it's like, and I bet you there is, because if I just thought about it, there's some billionaire that thought about it. Like, where are these like top level like Olympic pole vaulters? Like, do they have an apparatus that is teaching them like where they're getting from like seated to extent? You know what I mean? Like, you can't do that without doing this.
Well, there's different drills you can do, but it doesn't work against gravity. You're usually working laying down. So you can like put the pole in a corner, lay down, and get you usually have to use a small pole, but you get the bend, and then you can feel the recoil and all that. But it's weird being upside down 13 feet in the air. Like,
sure, yeah.
And
I don't want to be upside down 2 feet in the air.
Right. So it's really hard to, without actually vaulting, to get that feeling. I still had the issue. Most vaulters, you have to keep your head back and look back down the runway. I could never get past that. I was always looking up. Because for some reason, if my head tilted back, something with my
equilibrium and everything, just lose it.
Oh yeah,
get you into like the panic. Like, send you into panic.
We I don't know if we talked about this on the show, but we've talked about me having my head smashed open a couple times, but one of the consequences that I got from
episode.
One of the consequences that I have is that I get really disoriented if I'm upside down, like really disoriented. And it's getting better as I get older, but I remember being like 13 or 14, 15 and trying to like learn how to do a handstand, and I would like put my hands down and then I'd kick my feet up and just immediately like the world didn't exist anymore, you know, just like spinning and like fall down, and it was like that for like years afterwards.
Wow.
So I get it. I don't want to be upside down either.
See, I didn't mind handstands. It was flying through the air upside down.
Yeah, that
was my issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's after quite a bit, you start to get used to actually being upside down. But I could just never let my head go upside down.
Yeah.
So I mean, I have pictures of myself completely upside down except my head.
Like chin is tucked. Like,
yeah. So sophomore year, very frustrating.
But successful.
But successful.
Yeah. I mean, I can't complain about the results. But it was tough being 14, going through the stupid high school stuff you go through, losing my coach, then having a coach that, I mean, nothing against him. Like,
he might have been trying his best.
If it wasn't for him, I couldn't have done it.
Right.
Because you had to have a certified pole vault coach.
Yeah.
But he wasn't a pole vault coach, and I was a 14-year-old that knew better than him, and so I ended up going into junior year, same mindset I had my sophomore year. But my family, like I said, was super supportive. I went to camps. I went to camp up in Seattle, learned a bunch of drills, got a vault on a bunch of different poles. I mean, Shelton wasn't really the most funded.
Yeah, like what's a top level pole cost?
So my senior year, we ended up buying one for me, and it was $500.
Yeah.
So we didn't have low income, high trauma school district, right? So we don't have the resources for
Right.
a grip of poles.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was vaulting on poles my uncle vaulted on when he was in high school. He was 14 years older than me. So, I mean,
They had me try it one time with one of the steel ones. And you're like, you could grab a steel pole and go try it. 200 pounds or whatever.
Just a pole?
Yeah.
It's like took a tent down. They were like, try this one, Kyle.
Yeah, because they had weight limits, so you weren't supposed to be over. I think the heaviest fiberglass pole we had was like maybe 175-pound athlete.
We had I think a 180 or 190. There was one that I couldn't use.
Yeah. But even that one was I was over the weight limit for that one.
Yeah. So junior year, I just kept in the weight room, got stronger, got faster. Speed is a big thing for pole vault. And that helped me quite a bit. I ended up being third in state ranked going into districts. I was first in district by probably 2 feet. I think my opening height was the winning height.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you don't know pole vault, you get warm-ups at the very beginning. The pit opens up, everybody just you can put a bungee up, or you can just go through with nothing up to aim at. You just pretty much warming up because you can't vault cold, just like you can't just sprint straight from getting off the bus. It was at Bremerton High School, and I warm up, and then I sit for an hour. I'm sitting there watching all the kids vault.
Because the pole just goes up. It doesn't come back down. It's not like rounds, correct? Like it's just, we're taking this height, this height,
So
this
it
height.
starts starting height.
Yep.
Everybody goes. If you make it, you get three attempts. If you make it, you go up to the next. If you don't make it, you're done. Goes up, goes up, goes up, goes up. And then it was my turn. And after a certain amount of time, since they know that people that wait that long, their muscles are going to get cold, you get a couple run throughs.
You only are going to be warming up for 20 minutes, half hour, or whatever. And then you got to re-warm up.
Yep. So I go and I jog, I get warm, and then the pit opens up for me. So they drop the bar down, and I do my run throughs, and I feel great. So my first vault, go up, and there's rules about how far and forward and back you can have the crossbar.
Okay.
Because they don't want you having it so far forward that when you go up, you come straight back down and land back in the hole. And then they don't want it so far back that
you end up off the back side of the mat.
Yeah. So it's safety issues. So I was one that was typically right in the middle. I never skirted the edge, and I went up and came right down on the crossbar. I mean, I was probably 1.5 feet over the bar, but I came right down on it and couldn't figure out what was going on. So I how to move it forward again, try again, do the same exact thing. Like I am almost coming down in front of the crossbar to the point where I'm like sticking my feet out.
It's like you're aiming for it.
Yeah. So I move the standards all the way forward. So the crossbar is as far forward legally as possible. And same thing, like I have no clue what is going on. I know I'm ranked third in state, and I just know heighted in districts. My high school junior year is done. So the meet ends, and I walk up to the official, being 15-year-old, I want to argue. And I told him that there was something wrong. Like I've never no-heighted in my life.
Right.
Like that was the first time I'd ever not actually scored in a meet since 7th grade.
It's not like you weren't clearing it.
Right.
Yeah.
So my coach, I think, I can't remember who was that year, but my head coach, it was Brickert.
Yeah.
Young Brickert, comes up, starts talking to the officials. Well, they ended up putting it up they put the bar back up at the opening height, moved the standards all the way forward and measured. And what they didn't tell us was the night before, some high school kids decided to climb on the standards and bent them. So even though the standards so it's all measured at the bottom.
Right.
Even though it was all the way forward as far as they could do it.
They were bent back.
They were bent back past what they could legally be back.
Oh, geez.
So, unfortunately, it was on me to find that out somehow.
As a 15-year-old.
Yep. That's what I was told at the end of the meet was, unfortunately, yeah, the standards are broke, but you should have put a bar up during your warm-ups to verify that the standards were where you needed them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have those same kind of words in like most powerlifting federations to protect the federation of making silly mistakes. Like it's on the athlete to make sure that when they take an attempt, everything is correct. So when situations like that happen, they don't have to redo a meet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but there is a clause that so in track, there are minimum standards to make state, like you can qualify for state, but you don't get an automatic bid, if that makes sense. So if you make that height, which I think was 13.6 or something like that, and I had already gone 14.6 that year.
Oh, okay.
So the rule was that the league could vote you into regionals
Oh.
if it was a unanimous vote.
Uh-huh.
However, the league can only send, or district can only send, X amount of vaulters.
Uh-huh.
So there's 12 vaulters that got to go.
So the coaches basically got to vote one kid out.
Right. And that one kid, so there were 4 Gig Harbor vaulters. And that last kid was a Gig Harbor vaulter. And I got, of all the entire district, everybody voted me in except one school.
Gig Harbor.
Gig Harbor. And I actually had a really good relationship with that coach up until that point.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm 15. I'm going to get angry and blame everybody else for...
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a shit move. But
I mean, I get it. He's looking out for his
Yeah.
kids. I mean,
Yeah.
sure.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine that kid would probably still be telling that story? Like, I qualified for state because I made my jumps, and they took
Yep.
it away from me and gave it to this other kid. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
That kid went with like a 10.6. He just high
it was
jumped it. He didn't even use a pole. He
I
just
mean,
high jumped the bar.
It was quite a bit below my opening height.
Check the standards.
I know.
It's
Yeah.
very common that
Yeah.
standards are bent backwards.
Yep.
Hold on. I want before you always progress.
No, oh yeah, no.
Do you have any like what do you attest like having such growth between like what is it that makes a pole vaulter? Is it all like just learning technique, or was it because you got faster? Is it a combination of like the speed and the strength? Like what is it that you think like, oh man, this helped a ton between sophomore and junior year?
Well, I got taller. I got faster. I mean, the height and speed are your best friend when you pole vault. It's a physics thing. So if you look at the angle that the pole is making when it hits that box, the bigger of an angle, the easier it is to get that pole up to a 90 degree, because that's ultimately what you want is to go from plant to a 90 degree, and the less travel you have to do, the better. I'm not the tallest guy, so speed and strength really helped me out.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned that you'd never no-heighted before. And I just wanted to throw in there, if you're competing in track and field, you're gonna bomb out something.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna no height, you're gonna no throw, you're gonna false start.
So that was the same year. I'm not to skip forward, but that was the same year I think Nick double fouled his discus.
Yeah.
And then just got a safe throw in and he was number 1 in the state and didn't make it to state.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
When I get into college, I'll tell you about me sitting and talking with Dan O'Brien, one of the best decathletes.
Was Doug already the coach?
No.
Who was head at that time? Was it
Brickert was
old
the head
man
coach.
Brickert?
Young
man
Brickert. We
Yep.
say young Brickert.
Well, yeah.
But
yeah. He's still very old man.
Yeah,
but
he was a war
damn.
vet.
I would love like that. I want to. He's still around, Brickert?
Yeah,
Young man Brickert?
I think so.
I don't know.
I mean, he's getting up there, but like I want to ask that question of like when you got home, you had 2 like possible state champion level dudes not freaking qualify. Like as a coach, like what a devastating day that was.
That might have been my sophomore year.
Yeah.
If I
Your sophomore,
remember.
our senior. Yeah.
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 So that might have been the year before, and then that
Yeah.
year, they all kind of blend together.
It's
Yeah,
also
that's
an
no
interesting thing in track, like you were talking about, the league can vote somebody in. There's been years where like they'll send the top 2, to state or whatever, right? So there's been years where the top 3 or the top 4 were all in the same group. And so the person who, could be competing for first or second, like doesn't get to go to state because they're in the wrong,
Yep.
And a lot of, I think that they've updated that. Like somebody was telling me now that there's, if you make a standard, you get to go. And
Yeah.
so that's cool.
Yeah.
But like, that it's pretty rough as an athlete when you show up and you're like, hey, I'm ranked number 3 in the state, and then you don't get to go to, state, and it's by inches, like.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So I know height, don't get voted in. I still want to support the team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I go to regionals, which were at Lincoln Bowl, and I'm sitting down watching pole vault because that's my passion, and sitting right next to the UW coach who's watching kids compete to go to state, and sitting there talking to him, and he asked me who I am, and I tell him who I am and where I'm from. He's like, "Oh, you're the kid that no-heighted last week." I was like,
that's how you'll forever be known.
Yep. Yep. So I tried to tell him. He's like, "Hey, man, I get it, but that sucks." Because junior year, if you're familiar with athletics, I mean,
that's the recruiting window.
That's the recruiting window.
Yeah.
So I was top 3 in the state as a junior with no state meet. So nobody.
And I'm pretty sure it's in UW's fight song that you have to check the standards in pole vault.
Right.
So, like you're not getting in there. Like,
They're like inches and seconds count in the warm up.
Not to foreshadow, but I can guarantee you know what school I didn't go to in college. So so I sat and watched everybody compete. That was the year McClary's were 1-2 in the state, and they're 800 and 1600, and I traveled the state, watched them compete. It was really tough to sit on the sidelines when I knew that I could beat most of the people out there.
Especially when it's such a fun program. Like, I mean, that would have been, if it was your junior year, so me and Nick would have been graduated, right? But like, for a little while there, me and Nick were number 1 and 2 in the nation in the hammer for our age group, right? And then the McClarys were phenomenal middle distance runners.
They were 1 and 4, I think.
Yeah,
in the
nation, both Olympic trials runners, I believe.
Yep.
And so, like, that was a fun couple years to go because there was always somebody doing something. Like, even if 3 out of them were having a bad day, there was still somebody doing something monstrous.
Yeah. It was. I mean, track was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was.
Yeah, we had a pretty competitive 4x1 back then, which and that's pretty rare in Shelton. We're not known for the most speed.
We had a really good women's 4x2.
Yeah.
Andrea Mays.
Yeah, Chelsea, and who else was in that group?
Kircher.
Yeah.
Then I think Allison Clark was in there as well. I think she was the 4x4. We had some really good female sprinters.
Mm-hmm.
Our track program was just, I mean, practice was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anytime you tell people that you ran track, everybody goes, "Oh, I hate running." But like, just being around all those people that made it fun.
Yeah.
Like, it
really was a great time. And all of the coaches that I interacted with, like, even if they weren't like world-class coaches, or like, they wanted to be there and they wanted kids to be there. And, like, I didn't have to deal with any coaches who obviously didn't want to show up or didn't want to give you their time or whatever.
Right.
So
I mean,
coaches.
It was a great atmosphere.
Yeah.
I've definitely never heard anybody that was around freaky people that was like, "Oh, I just didn't get any good workouts because there was too many badasses around." Like, it's always the other way, right? Like, if you're not a great athlete, you're just around great athletes, you're going to perform better. Like, just attitude, learning.
And that's, I mean, when you compete, it's your competition that helps you. Like, some of the best vaults I ever did were in meets that we were going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And it was...
Yeah, I mean, Nick and I would talk about that a lot, or John, because John was a great coach, but like, his thing wasn't really like the technical stuff. Like, he was a great coach because he was there and he was motivational and he wanted people to be successful and stuff. And like, but just going out and fighting every day was a fight for who could throw it further. You know, like, that was a big...
Yeah, a little competition.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it gets your adrenaline going, gets some stuff. Yeah, I mean, I had some guys that, I mean, pole vault's a pretty small community when you think of it, even nationally. Like, there's not a whole lot of people that pole vault. For one, it's expensive, liability, all that stuff for programs to even exist. But we'd get into meets, and it was like a meetup of friends, and then which friend can beat the other friend this week. So it's not like sports where you see a guy that you're competing against and you look at him and you're like, "I'm going to beat him up today." No, you're like, "Hey, I want to beat him because that's going to make me better." Like, you're pretty much competing against yourself.
Right.
And just try.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, I guess a little bit less, I would imagine, but there's probably, you understand about where your limit is. Like, there's not, like we talk about sometimes, like with like football, like grit and determination and just sheer willpower translate to that sport a lot. And you can have somebody that is less talented just work hard.
Yeah, be successful because
they
in the
can
right
just
spot
be
doing the
like,
right thing.
I'm going to out grit you.
Yeah.
But like in the world of powerlifting, or I imagine with that, like, I'm gonna pull vault so good. Like, yeah, that's not necessarily how that translates. Like, so
yeah, you got to have like the physical tools and
right
practice and all.
And I think that leads to like those kind of sports. I feel like lead to more friendly competition, because going to the meet doesn't mean it's going to be you might, mess up, but everybody kind of knows where they slot in, and there might be a little bits of competition, but it just leans, like, you see those sports being a little bit more friendly atmospheres behind the scene.
Yeah. Remind me if I don't tell the story, but there's a great story about that my senior year.
Tell it.
Yeah, I was going to say.
No, I don't.
You want to get there? Okay.
I'll get there.
Hang on, I'll make myself a note.
He's a linear storyteller.
I am. I'm very methodical.
This is good, because normally we are all over the place.
Yeah, if I'm running the show, I'm a very non-linear storyteller. Like, I'm not even sure that this is where I'm at in time right now,
Math teacher?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Calculus, though.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
No one actually knows what's going on.
Derivatives, who knows?
It's all about tiny infinities, guys.
Right.
Tiny infinities.
Oh, how small is your infinity?
Smaller than it was just a second ago. So we're pushing it.
Mine's been growing.
I do want to backtrack. Talk about linear. So
I just got a linear.
Yep. So my junior year, I ended up setting the junior school record. No, not the school record, the junior class record, and that was Mike Johnson's record.
Oh, okay.
So I had some people actually mad at me for breaking the record.
Yeah.
But I still
totally makes sense.
Why would you want the last talented kid that he coached to be successful and keep that alive?
I'm sure you remember. Anytime you broke a class or school record, they took the piece of paper down, which I don't know if you know, it's tucked away in the back hallway right now.
Yeah.
But the little paper, and on the back is the writing about how they broke it, and then the head coach wrote a little blurb of how you broke that record. So I still have that.
That's awesome.
Back home.
That's cool.
Mike Johnson's junior class record, which I believe was his state winning jump.
Yeah.
And that was 14, I want to say it was 14.5, and I ended up going 14.7. I went 14.6.
Yeah.
School record was 14.7 at the time. So in my junior year, I was 1 inch under the actual school record.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of my keepsake for my junior year. Was I was able to break Coach Johnson's record.
Yeah, it's funny that people were mad about that, because you know who would have been super proud of it? Mike Johnson.
Well, and Mike Johnson's family was Mr. Perry's family. Like, he married into the family, and it was really cool because I ended up having Mike Johnson's wife come to my graduation party after my senior year.
Oh, that's cool.
That stuff. So it was really cool.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's non-linear again. I just jumped ahead
You
to
ruined
graduation. Sorry. But yeah, so going into senior year, I was thinking it was going to be a lot of the same thing. Self-taught, try to coach myself. So my parents actually paid for me and drove me down to San Luis Obispo for a pole vault camp. I can't remember the coach's name. He was a bronze medalist pole vaulter in the Olympics in like the late 70s. And he had pole vault pits and rope swings and everything in his backyard.
Oh, that's fun.
Like, he had raised runways, like it was, and then he had a big pole building with gymnastics equipment in there, and he ran a camp out of his backyard.
If my neighbor didn't care, I would put a hammer cage in my backyard, but she would not like that I was throwing hammers into her yard.
Yeah, what a crappy neighbor.
Right.
What the hell?
Kyle, you broke another window.
Yeah. Man,
actually, you'd probably just put it right through the side of the house.
Yeah, I mean, a hammer. I one time wrapped a hammer wire around a telephone pole, and it left a gouge in the telephone pole like a half-inch deep all the way around. It was pretty crazy. It made me have a lot more respect for what I was doing.
Was it Nick or was it you that skipped one off the back stretch?
It was
took a chunk out of the track, and it stayed that way for years. Like, you guys were gone, and my senior year, that chunk was still missing.
I don't want to admit to that. I don't think that was me. I did throw one into you talked about Bremerton earlier. Bremerton has this great little, like, it's got a great vibe. They got concrete stadium for people to sit in along a berm. And I did one time throw a hammer into the concrete stadium.
That's why hammer was always done the day before track meet?
Or early in the morning or whatever. But it broke the hammer. I have it here. I'll show it to you later. But it busted it open. That was another one where I was like, oh, that's a lot of force because it busted open a steel ball, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, tons of fun. It's the best event. I'll fight about it, but...
Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to fight you. I mean, I do look bigger than you, but I'm not.
If he throws the hammer at you, you just pole vault over and go hit him with your pole.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a weapon after that.
True.
No weapon. I didn't realize that was the... I changed my event to javelin.
I changed mine to fencing.
Yeah, that'll be good. Javelin's better. I'd still win. I'll just hold on to it till you get close. It's 7
Just throw
feet
it from
long.
close, or just you're going to poke
spear.
me?
Yeah, just... This has gone way off the rails. Anyway.
Not really.
That's good.
I mean, we're
There's
still
that one guy that gets stabbed. There's that old video of the guy that's out in the middle of the field and he just doesn't get the hell out of the way, and it's just like...
Yeah.
And he still marks it.
He does. Throws it out of his arm. Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, I go down to San Luis Obispo. I'm 17 at the time, staying in a hotel at this camp with a bunch of other high school kids from around California. And California back then was like the mecca track. So like California kids, like most recruiters were looking for these California kids.
Most of the time, if I went to like a big like national meet, it was 60% California and Texas. You know, the athletes. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty common for most sports.
Yeah. Well, when you can train year round, it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
So, but the guy putting on the clinic was actually the coach at San Luis Obispo.
Okay.
Or what, Caltech. And he pulled me aside probably the second to last day, and he asked me if I knew how good I was. I was like, well, you know, I was third in state last year. He goes, no, like right now, how it stands, you are probably top 10 in the entire West Coast for pole vault. I was like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, like how many schools you got talking to you? I go, none. I'm a country boy from Shelton.
Yeah, not
a lot of colleges probably.
Recruiters drove up the I-5 corridor and did not take that left.
Right. Yeah, I mean that 101, the loop is gorgeous, but nobody's going to stop in Shelton to go watch a pole vaulter. That's why like talked about that junior year not making it to state was a big deal. So I mean, going into senior year, like I just kept my head down. You know, had a pretty successful football year that year, was on cloud 9 going into winter. Just as soon as football ended, I was boots to the ground, working on speed, my explosiveness. Power cleans were a big thing I did because I just wanted upper body and lower body strength. But I didn't want to lose my fast twitch. And then getting into my senior year track season, I luckily got a pole vault coach that actually pole vaulted and was actually probably one of the most all-around best athletes Shelton's ever had, and that was Doug Sells.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't remember coaching pole vault.
I don't remember. As one of the best athletes we've ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it.
I got it. I'm there with you.
Did we do sports together?
Shut up, you do remember me.
Yeah.
Do sports? Was I on teams? Yes.
As some people don't know, he had an amazing mullet in high school.
Everybody remembers that.
Monroe. I didn't know it had a name.
It had a name. His football sweatshirts, everything. Yeah. It didn't say Monroe. Like I think even Hinkle called him Monroe.
Nice.
Hinkle called me mullet through coaching for him. What's up, mullet? So, Coach, I went bald 10 years ago, man. Goodness.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have Doug on. We've had him in the wings for a while, and he's on the calendar. But.
Yep. Yeah, he was a volunteer coach my senior year. He volunteered to come in and pole vault coach. That was all he did. He would come in. He started videotaping me and started really critiquing everything I did. And it was nice because I had a coach that knew what he was talking about, has been there, and really, really worked with me. And I could, that season, going from 13 to 14 is a pretty easy progression.
14 to 15 is a lot harder.
14 to, like, once you start getting into the 15-foot range, like, that's when you start getting up there.
All those events are kind of like that, right? Like, it doesn't take that long to get a fast kid to run in the 11s if they're real fast, right? Or to throw the shot put 50 feet or whatever. But then after that, you're scraping for improvement. Yeah.
So it's, I mean, the little things matter, and even to the point where we were talking about poles. He pushed to get that pole for me because I started getting to the limit of the poles that Shelton had, and we were trading poles and all that. And finally, we were able to buy one for me. So season went through. I ended up being the first kid in Shelton ever to go over 15 feet, and then broke my uncle's record of most over 14.
Nice.
And then proceeded to go up to 15.6, which I set that record at regionals. So,
and that's pretty damn absurd if you think about it. That's if I climbed onto a goddamn basketball hoop and stood there
on the top of it,
on the top, standing straight up, like you kicked me in the forehead. Like, that's absurd. Upside down.
Yeah. Well, you go upside down.
I mean, at that point, I'm
right
sure.
Side.
Yeah. Sure. You were only upside down.
My hips would have been right in your face.
God damn. We'll edit that out.
Yeah. I made it. So yeah, districts, I did well. I think I went 15-3. Then went to regionals. I didn't know height this year. Went to regionals. It was at Mount.
Did you check that?
Yeah.
Every time after that, were you checking freaking?
Yep. So
was there anybody climbing on this yesterday? What's going on here?
No. So we would bring a bungee. Like that was a lesson learned. We'd bring a bungee and just throw it up. Even if we set it up at my opening height and the other kids that were warming up, like, that was way above them, it didn't matter because they would just go under it. It was a bungee. Their pole would hit it. And I mean, that's pretty common for people to do. I just never did it until
it became a problem.
Until it became a problem. So, yeah, I make it to regionals. Ended up breaking school record, getting the #1 vault in the state, going into state. There was actually a great picture, the journal, the old black and white journal, a full page of me. It was me at my apex over that 15.6. It's pretty cool. I still have a picture on my phone of it.
Nice.
So go to state. There's always going to be something that happens. I ended up getting bronchitis and strep throat. Had like 101-degree temperature morning of state. I'm walking, Doug Sells is behind me. I cough up a bunch of green stuff that lands on the ground, and Doug's like, today's not going to go well.
This isn't going to be a high performance day.
No. So I had that new pole. Ended up going, so you blow through a pole. It doesn't blow up, but it's got that weight limit, which then adds more force and makes it a little stronger. Well, I was running, jumping, probably because my adrenaline was up, and I was actually going through the pole, and it wasn't giving me any lift. It wasn't springing like it normally would, and ended up not performing all that great that day. I think I took 4th or 5th at state, but I was in the last group, and the winning height I think was only 15.3 or 15.6. So my vault the week before would have won state, but I mean, it happens. That's why you compete every week, and it doesn't go by how you did through the season. So
yeah, it's also a thing like in your career as a track athlete that you got to figure out how to manage that, because that sickness, every track athlete that you've ever talked to has hit that, right? Anybody who's any good at it anyway, right? And the goal is to hit it the week after your big track meet,
right?
Like, so you gotta match those efforts and the peaks and the the volume that you're doing and everything really well, because when you get past a certain capacity, your body just won't recover anymore, and then you'll get sick, and then you won't have a good time.
Yeah. It's I mean, was it this year in NCAA's that the gold medalist lost in the championship? in wrestling?
Oh,
I
yes.
haven't watched them all yet.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it happens.
Yeah,
I
Olympic
mean,
gold medalist.
so
Yeah.
I mean you could be the best, but that day you just aren't, and that's what sucks about sports, but that's what's great about sports. You never know. That's why you do it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had to go in the next day and ask Gable. I was like, all right, because I'm still pretty new to wrestling, especially like I've talked about, like I've been a Shelton wrestling fan for a long time because that's the kids. I'm rooting for the kids, not necessarily the sport itself. But since we've been doing this, like definitely been liking more and more. But I was like, all right, give me like compare that upset to something else. Like give me like a football comparison. And he like ran me through. I was like, all right, is it like Patriots versus the Giants when Patriots were undefeated with Randy Moss? And he's like, it wasn't like Gable Stevenson was really good, but that other guy was also incredible. But he was like, he hadn't been like taken down in like 4 years or some shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, what
And
the hell?
He
Like,
took him down with
yeah,
like 30 seconds
it's
left to win it. So
like, that must be alarming. But yeah,
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 so-
you got to compete.
yeah, and
You
you
know?
got to be consistent. I mean, that's the thing about track is like you can have an off day and it could be very detrimental.
Mhm.
But no, so senior year, like I didn't have any colleges looking at me, and colleges can't talk to you because of recruiting issues. And back in the day of AOL, I got on to AOL and was looking at websites, and they actually had recruiting websites that I could sign up for to try to get guys, and tracks at the very end of your senior year.
Mhm.
So the schools have already picked who they want.
Right.
So I was pretty much
Yeah, most of those kids probably had graduated early and were already on campus. Like,
Probably.
I know like the top guys in football, like a lot of times it's like by the third trimester of the Division One, like they graduate. They're
Well,
already like going out there.
track's a little different because they still want to compete their senior year.
Yeah, sure, right.
But as soon
Yeah.
as the season's done, they're doing workouts for colleges and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was recruited pretty heavily and I got hurt, so nothing worked out. But like going into like the indoor season, because we would do indoor track meets, it was still a thing where there was like 6 schools that were floating offers, but nobody wanted to put anything in writing. And it was kind of like we'll see how the start of your year goes, and then everything really turned into cement by like end of March, beginning of April or something. Like all of a sudden they were they had their pawns that they were pushing around the board, and they were like, this is the one I want. And it all happened just like in like 3 days.
Yep. So yeah, I get a hold of this recruiting firm, and they're talking to me and asking me like, hey, do you have proof? Because like that's the thing in track too, as kids back then, when there were like there's no video.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Like, it's not like you can just take your phone, record it, and upload it to your social media. There was no Facebook didn't get started till my freshman year in college.
Mhm.
There was nothing out there. Maybe snippets in the paper about how high I went and all that stuff, but I had the picture. I actually had a video recording of my 15.6 vault, so I sent it to them, and his reply back was, "You don't have anybody talking to you?" I was like, "No, I don't." And so he reached out to a couple schools, but I mean, like I said, it's past that
It's late in
point.
the game, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they can't. So for Division One, it's all or nothing. Like they can't be like, hey, yeah, we'll offer you like a little bit. It's full ride or nothing. So they had already allotted their full rides to who they wanted, and I was off to fend for myself. So luckily, I was a really good student. I think I graduated with a 3.75. So schools were probably in my cards. Like I wanted to go to college. I wanted to be successful. So I started looking around myself, and once the recruiting windows were done and kids could reach out to schools, I started reaching out to track coaches.
Yeah.
I would reach out to, I remember sitting down Googling best pole vault programs on the West Coast. And back then, Boise State was a big one. Kansas was a big one, even though it's not on the West Coast. Arizona had a really good pole vault coach. There was a couple other. UW's always been in that. I mean, they had a 19-foot vaulter like my senior year. Like he was the best in the country. But from the story earlier, I was not going to UW. And then I had Eastern because I always wanted. My family was really supportive of me, and I didn't want to be too far away. So Eastern was another one, but I wanted to be Division One. Like that was my mindset. I had to be D1, which I think it was kind of to my detriment doing that. I think I would have going from Shelton to a D1 program was a big culture shock.
Yeah.
I wish I would have gone smaller and then maybe tried to work my
Right.
way up. But reached out to Kansas, Boise State, Arizona, and they all said, yeah, no, you look good. We already have our guys, but there's a spot for a walk-on if you want one. So I started looking around. Kansas is cold. It's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. It's miserable.
Yeah.
I've never been there, and I think it's the worst place on the planet.
Yep.
I apologize to our Kansas listeners.
And
I've been to Afghanistan, man.
They call
I'm not going to call it much better.
They call that the Kansas of the East.
Middle East.
oh,
At least I don't live in Kansas.
It's not at all the same.
Actually, to tell you the honest truth, there are some pretty beautiful spots in Afghanistan.
I'm sure
It's probably actually, as terrain-wise, it's probably actually better than Kansas.
there's a lot
Sorry
of
for all our
mountains.
Kansas listeners.
There's a lot of mountains, rivers, and valleys that Kansas probably doesn't have.
Yeah.
More IEDs.
Yeah.
I actually don't know. I don't know much about Kansas. I can't even claim that
There might be more
might-
IEDs in Kansas.
I'm guessing not, but who knows?
Yeah. So on that note, Boise State also cold. Indoor track season is definitely indoors.
Yeah. They have a nice indoor facility, don't
Yep.
they?
Yep. But I didn't want to be in the cold. I mean,
I get that.
being in Shelton,
Even indoors, it's still cold. Like a lot of people don't realize those places that got indoor arenas. They're not like heated or anything. They're just not in the snow.
they're heated. Just yeah.
You also have to go outdoors to get to the other indoors.
Yeah. So, in my senior year, I vaulted in the snow here in Shelton. I mean, it was not something I wanted to do in college. So, Arizona was warm and sunny, and there's good scenery there. So I really leaned on talking to that coach, and he was like, yeah, like there is a spot for you, like without a doubt. We already got our guy for the full ride, but you know, if you come here for school, 100% you'll be on the track.
Yeah.
I was like, cool. So I applied, got accepted, was ready to go. My family was pretty upset that I was
Abandoning them.
abandoning Shelton.
Yeah.
It was a big culture shock. But my dad and I packed up our little Honda Civic full of all my clothes and stuff to take to school and drove to Tucson.
That sounds like a good time.
Oh man. Yeah, it was a fun road trip. So we were planning on getting to San Diego or LA, staying in LA, and we got to LA and there were no vacancies in any hotel. Because it's not back in the day where you can flip your phone out, go on hotels.com or Expedia and book a room.
You just call 10 places and none of them have a spot. And you're like, okay, I guess we move on.
Yeah, and then we literally pull into like the shadiest motel and it would no vacancies.
Yeah.
Like, so my dad and I were like, well, let's just keep driving south because my dad had some friends that lived in San Diego we were going to stay with the next day. So we kept driving.
So this was one day from
Shelton
to LA.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a 15-hour drive to LA. So then we just kept driving.
It's a 15-hour drive cruising.
Yeah.
You were not going the speed limit.
I was going the speed limit.
He was going the speed limit. How dare you impugn his character like that?
The limit of that Honda.
Right. Oh. So yeah. So we just keep heading south of LA and never found a hotel. Get to San Diego, still same thing. No vacancies. Sun starts coming up. We're heading south on I-5, and we were just driving south and realized that we were at the Mexican border, and we turned around and almost made it to Mexico. But found a little parking lot. We slept for a few hours until the sun came up, and then went over to my dad's friend's house and hung out in San Diego on the beach for a couple days, and then drove east to Tucson. That was my first time in Tucson. I never did a visit. Yeah. So I just knew I wanted to be somewhere warm, and the track team wanted me, so I was going to go.
Sports visits are a pretty fun time. They feed you. I remember going to WSU, and they took me to a place, and they were like, "You can eat all the chicken wings you want," and I was like, "You guys are gonna regret that." I ate like 80 chicken wings.
Oh,
It was a good time.
yeah, dude. No, there's some good places to eat in Tucson.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we get a hotel in Tucson. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go drive and look at campus. And campus was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
I got a couple blocks away from campus. Not as gorgeous.
It's kind of interesting. There's several Arizona schools that are like that, where they're just like, there's University of Arizona, there's like Grand Canyon, there's a few schools down there that
Grand Canyon's in Casa Grande,
I don't remember,
which is in the middle of nowhere. Like Tucson is nowhere. Well, it's halfway between Phoenix and Tucson, so you got to go to nowhere to get to nowhere.
But it's like this really nice campus, and then like the moment you step foot off campus, it's like super run down, areas. It's like it's just really interesting the way that it that it works out.
I mean, if you look at the desert, there's no water.
Mm-hmm.
Everything comes from the Colorado. So as soon as they get water somewhere, you have to stick to the area. So if you get out on the outskirts, it's pretty gross.
Yeah.
So I drive around campus and then drive just south of campus, and there's 5 cops on the side of the road with a car pulled over with a pile of drugs on the back. I was like, oh man, what am I doing? First day in Tucson.
Getting industrious. That guy's out of the market. You got a niche to fill.
Yeah. So, that was my first day in Tucson. Next day, I move into the dorms. It's a 9-story building, which if you've been to Shelton, we have a 3-story building.
Mm-hmm.
So that dorm was taller than our tallest building. And my room was on the 9th floor, south facing, where the sun is. It was the hottest day I've ever been. It was 114 degrees out. Oh. And our AC didn't work in our room.
Have been in somebody else's room, make a new best friend somewhere else.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I met my roommate, was email
terrible.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I ended up moving after the first semester down the hall with another kid.
Yeah.
It was off mic stories about that one.
I feel like every time that somebody tells me about the first person that they lived with in college, it's either like they're their best man or their maid of honor at their wedding and they love them to death and they're their favorite person on the planet, or they got to the point where they couldn't even be in the same room together. You know, like it was one of those two almost every time. Yeah, and maybe that's just because those are the only stories people want to share.
Well, that's my first roommate was that. Like I lost contact with him. Like literally, I didn't even tell him I was moving out one day. He just came back from class and I was wheeling all my stuff down the hall. And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm moving out.
Yeah.
And he's like, where? I was like, down the hall. And never talked to him after that. Yeah. Even though I lived 6 doors down. But the guy I ended up moving in with became my best friend. He was from Phoenix. In fact, when I got married, he surprised me and came to my wedding up here. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I was talking to the coach just before leaving, and he said, yeah, get moved in, get all your class stuff figured out, go through orientation, don't be in a hurry. But once you get settled in, come on over to my office. It's the basketball stadium's called the McHale Center. All the coaches have offices in the basketball stadium. So he's like, come to the McHale Center, just walk around. It's open. I thought this was the weirdest thing. I walked to the basketball gym, which Arizona is known for its basketball. Door's completely unlocked. You just open the door and walk in. And I walked in, and you just walk around in circles, and each sport had its own little area, and track had its wing. So I needed to go and just knock on his door one day when he was there, and we'd talk about what I needed to do to get on the track team. And he's like, yeah, I'll have paperwork for you, all that. I was like, cool. So first week I got all settled in, and then I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go over to the gym, which is on the other side of campus, and went in the McHale Center, went to the track thing, and I'm walking down the track hall, and there's head coach, throws coach, bunch of other, long distance coach. And then there's an empty office with no nameplate.
Oh, it's your guy? Gone.
Had you signed papers or anything?
Nope. So I moved from Shelton to Tucson to run track and go to college.
Yep.
And that coach got let go or took another position somewhere else.
That's
in
something
that week.
that happens. There's a bit of volatility in college coaching.
Yep.
I remember one of the coaches who was recruiting me just told me, like, yeah, I went up for an athletic visit. They showed me all around. We ate it was for UW. We ate at the Space Needle and everything. And so we had this good time. And then he's like, by the way, if I get a better job offer, I'm out. I was like, oh, okay. So,
I mean, it just happened in college basketball.
Yeah.
Who was it? New Mexico. Patino just took his team to the Sweet 16, and the day after they lose, he's at Xavier now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just college sports. Like you coach to get to a next level, and sometimes you got to vacate and leave the Shelton kid sitting in the hall wondering what's going to happen.
You should have just went into the office and like put your own name on the door and been like, oh no. So you know what I mean? Like
That's
George
me.
from
I'm the coach.
Seinfeld.
Yeah, I am the captain now. So, yeah, I
introduce yourself to the throws coach.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, this guy's out. Do you need a shot putter?
So, yeah, so I kept going to school. I almost weekly would go over there waiting for a new name to go up, and eventually a new name went up, and he was never there. I think once his name went up, almost every day when I got done with classes, I sat outside his office, literally in the hallway, sitting down, and coaches would walk up and be like, can I help you? I'm like, yeah, I think I had reached out to him, and he said same thing, like, well,
just come by after class.
Just come by after class and we'll talk. But it wasn't like you have a spot. He was definitely a different type. Like, I don't know who you are, but
yeah. I mean, you don't want to commit to somebody else's decisions, right?
Right. So, so I sat there. I would study sitting outside of his office, and then one day he was finally there, and it was an interview. I'd never really interviewed ever before. I had to sit down and sell myself. Which, I mean, I don't like talking about myself very much, but I had to do that a lot and be humble. Like, hey, if you look back at my high school stuff, I screwed up a bunch.
Yeah.
Like, I know I did my junior year, which is probably why nobody's ever heard of me. My senior year, I didn't win state. Stuff happens, but like, this is my potential.
Right.
And he pretty much told me, yeah, our team's full. I was like, okay, awesome. I came to Tucson for what? But I stayed on him. Eventually he told me that there was a couple other guys that wanted to vault on the team too, and that he was going to hold tryouts. So he got my school email. We were emailing back and forth, and he finally emailed me, hey, be at the track at this time. Well, if you Google where the track is and where the campus is, they're like 2 miles apart. I had a bike. So for the tryouts, I had to bike the 2 miles after class.
In Tucson.
In Tucson.
In the sunshine.
Yep, in the sunshine.
Like the Super Mario 3 where it dives down and tries to kill you.
Sun actually is attacking.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I ride my bike all the way over, and I get to the track, which is in the middle of a neighborhood. Like, there's nothing affiliated with the school around there except the track. There's just houses.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was really weird. And then, like, it's through like drainage ditches because they don't have sewers. Like, when it rains, it floods. So they just have a low area that
big
all the water.
mechanical trenches for it to go somewhere.
Yeah. So if it rained that day, you had to find a way around to get to the track. But luckily that day it was nice and warm. So, I get there, and there's like 4 other guys there. We're all standing around like, hey, are you here for pole vault tryout? Yep. We're sitting there twiddling our thumbs like half hour after we were supposed to be there, and nobody's there. There's nobody at the track. And all of a sudden a car pulls up, and they're like, hey, are you guys here for pole vault tryouts? It's a younger kid about our age. And we're like, yeah. He's like, yeah, they got canceled today. Hop in. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, hop in. So we hop in. Come to find out, one of the girls' basketball players had a knee injury, had a blood clot get up into her lung.
Oh, geez.
She passed away that morning.
Oh, geez.
So all athletics were canceled that day.
That's horrific.
Yeah. So we go to this guy's house. He's a pole vaulter at U of A. Never met him before in my life. I just hopped in a car in the middle of South Tucson. We go to a house. We walk in, and it's a typical college house.
The DEA comes in. They unfile drugs.
Well, I mean, I never drank.
Uh-huh.
I'd never seen what weed looked like. I walk in and there are glass things all over, and yeah. So I was definitely out.
I love that you just called the bongs things.
Glass things. Well, back I couldn't tell
Couldn't
you.
have identified.
Nope.
What this
I was-
art? What are these art
Yeah.
pieces here?
Oh, Chihuly glass. But yeah, no, I sat in this guy's living room that I just met in the desert, and they're all having fun doing their thing, and I'm sitting in a chair like, what am I?
What you don't realize is this is the tryout.
This is the tryout.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you're fucking losing.
I failed
hard.
miserably. Life choices were good, but for
The
track,
coach reports back. He's like, "So who's cool?" He's like, well, "Not this guy."
right?
Fucking snitch.
So, yeah, his name was Adam. Adam was a hoot. Like, he was one of my favorite people. Goofiest guy. Always like, I mean, he was one of the guys that made things fun. He was just always a goofball. So yeah, we hung at their place for a few hours, and they drove me back to my dorm, and that was that. Like, I was like, okay. And then fast forward a week or two.
Did you have to walk to get your bicycle, or were you able to like throw it in the
Yeah,
trunk?
where's the bike?
I don't
Did
remember
you
what
lose the bike.
I lost a lot of bikes. Bikes get stolen in Arizona a
You
lot.
just don't worry about it. You
Yeah,
just buy
you
the
just-
cheap ones.
That's
Or
what
no,
this
you
whole
just find another one.
This whole thing was an elaborate setup to steal your bike. Like that coach just wanted your bike.
It's just a community of rideshare, and every once in a while you get a bike made for somebody who's 6'9", or a
Yeah.
bike made for someone who's 4'9",
Yeah,
and you're like,
You do the one pedal and then wait for the other one to come up.
yeah.
But yeah, so coach finally gets a hold of me, reschedules tryouts, and come to find out the guys that are trying out, their top heights were 12 foot and then two 12.6 vaulters.
Okay.
And I'm coming in at 15.6.
Were you training at all? Were you still trying to stay in shape and stuff?
Trying. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's
You don't have the same access to facilities and stuff.
No,
so there's
I mean-
the gym, you can lift weights, but
yeah, but I mean, there's no trainers.
Mhm.
There's like you go in. I mean, it's just like if you go into like LA Fitness or
Right.
or whatever. There's people like you gotta make your workout around what's available with what you
Right.
do.
you're doing something.
Yeah,
Grabbing sticks, vaulting over cars and shit.
yeah. It's really hard to just vault.
Yeah.
Take the center tube out of a lot of those bicycles that people leave around. Weld it together.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was tough. I mean, I definitely was not in the shape I should have been going into a tryout. But I didn't know what to expect for tryouts because I was expecting like, hey, like here's our poles, grab one, show me what you can do.
Uh-huh.
But liability wise, they can't do that because you're not.
Right.
Like, if you break a pole and break your neck, like
They can have you run 80 feet or
they can have you. So
jump and touch something. That's
yeah,
about it.
so they had us do some workouts that I had never done before,
Uh-huh.
and they were mostly gymnastic
Yeah.
type things that like my body had never done before. But there was a gymnast guy, so he was phenomenal in tryouts,
Uh-huh.
and even though my height was 3 feet above his, I looked absolutely like garbage compared to him. So, coach ended up telling us afterwards, like, hey, thanks for coming to tryouts, but it's going to be a 3-month long tryout, not just a 1-day tryout. I just wanted to make sure you guys were in shape, and you guys aren't. So here's what you guys need to do to actually make the team. So we did a 3-month long tryout. So during indoor season, this was leading up to indoor season. So this is working out
Fall and
Fall,
early winter.
yeah.
Yeah.
fall, early winter. We're doing a bunch of workouts. 2 of the guys that tried to walk on realized that school and sports don't go very well together in
Uh-huh.
college.
A little closer.
Is this close enough?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. You don't want to switch the knob?
No, because then we can hear the fans at the
Oh,
neighbor's
okay.
house, you know?
So, yeah, so there's 2 of us left for 1 spot in the pole vault.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we're doing 5-6 hour workout days.
Did the 2 guys who drop it, did they just disappear? Or did they talk to you about it at all?
They didn't, like one day, one stopped showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been a scorpion, got him or something.
Or the sun?
Yeah, or he chased a roadrunner
He was
off. and-
on the bike when it got stolen.
Right. But yeah, no, like one guy stopped showing up. Come to find out, he was doing really bad in class, and like
Yeah,
just like
you got to keep your grades up.
Yeah.
You guys, if you're in school for sports, keep your grades up.
Yeah.
Don't mess
You're
that up.
in school
Yeah.
for
well,
sports.
And
still a part of it.
And with college, you sign up for classes based on seniority.
Mm-hmm.
So like seniors get to sign up first, then juniors, then sophomores, then the freshmen get to sign up last. So whatever's left over, it's typically just freshman classes.
Yeah, prerequisite stuff, not things that are going to be super interesting.
Yep, and they're usually right in the middle of the day or in the evening, which is when you need to practice.
Uh-huh.
So he was missing class to practice, and he ended up dropping out. And then the other guy, I think the same reason, like grades weren't doing well.
Too much to juggle.
Yep.
They did every school I went to. I really wanted to go to school for either math, physics, or genetics. You know, those were the things I was real interested in. And every coach I talked to was like, I don't know if you're going to be able to do that and do a sport. Like, it's a big time commitment. You know, that's going to have you at 100 hours a week, you know, between the two of them.
Yeah. So I was a biology major.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody I was walking on with, they were like business or communications. Almost everybody that I vaulted with that was on the team were communications majors. Like,
well, yeah, there's just inherent things. Like, it's not even part of it is that those are difficult. Mm-hmm. So you're just gonna have to add library time, especially when we're going through college. Like, library time is a part of it.
Yep.
But then also like biology and shit or genetics, like you also have to add in like. So when I was like doing my genetic or like cell biology classes, like, okay, you had your hour-long class, but then it was also 6 hours in the lab doing the lab research.
Yeah.
And like, sure, a lot of it wasn't like super like hard stuff, but you had to be in the lab running put this here, and then you just had to sit there. So it's like, it's just time.
Yeah.
There's just so much fucking time adding on a sport. It's like, really, you can't do it. Like,
yeah, and one of the schools that I talked to, I think Cornell, they actually put me in touch with the guy who was like the genetics program guy, the professor, and he was like, "There's no textbooks. Like, we're doing the research. Like, if you don't show up for class, you won't know what's happening.
Right? You can't look it up. Like, I just came up with the fucking thing.
I'm the only one who knows, and I talk about it in class.
Yeah.
So you know, like,
so
I had a couple classes that were nice, like. Literally 300 kids in the class. He put out what his presentations were.
Right.
And then the only grades were midterm and final.
I love those classes.
So I literally wouldn't go to class, but I would take the class on my own. It was pretty much like an online class at that point.
Yeah.
But my schedule was not good for sports either. Because I didn't get to sign up to work around practice. So that seniority list, athletes actually get to be the first ones to sign up for classes just because of that. Like, you're a student athlete. Like, student's the first thing. So like I went to college to get a degree, not to go do track, even though I chose Arizona for track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's super important, like making sure like you're getting all your classes are probably like early and they're in a row. Or like I was in college, like I might have like a class in the morning and then I have an hour break where I just have to sit around, and then I got 2 more and I got 2-hour break because lower on the seniority poll, right? Like, so that's super inefficient if you then have to factor in getting a workout in and then going to like, but it didn't matter for me. It was just school. So
yeah, see, for us, like the track was 2 miles away. The gym to work out was on campus.
Yeah.
So we would go to the track, do our runs and all that stuff. And then I would go to class and then get out of class. So I would cool down from my run and have to go warm back up, lift.
Right. Yeah.
It was
not the way you would schedule it.
No. So that was my first semester. So it was down to 2 of us. It was coming up probably about halfway through the semester. And the coach decided, because he coached pole vault, long jump, all the jumps. He was like, I'm going to have a jumpers competition. Like, we're just going to have a fun little competition.
Standing triple, standing long, touch.
No,
vertical.
it was literally like a decathlon.
Oh, okay.
Like, but you don't get a prep for it.
Okay.
Like, tomorrow we're having a meet. So like,
you threw Shapa and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah. Like because he was also the heptathlon decathlon
guy.
coach.
Yeah.
But
God, I would have done so bad in that.
So I was a decent long jumper in high school. I was top 5 in state my senior year, but that wasn't my passion. So I
Right.
actually opted to not do districts for a long jump, just to focus on pole vault because a lot of times they kind of overlapped.
Yeah.
And they're on opposite sides. So
Right. Yeah.
so going in, we had to sprint, we had to do long distance, we threw javelin, I think shot. I don't think we threw disc. But it came to long jump, and small little boy from Shelton runs down, jumps over 22 feet.
Uh-huh.
He looks at me, he goes, "Have you ever done this before?" I was like, "Yeah, I used to do this in high school."
Yeah.
It's like,
You remember when we had that meeting fucking 6 months ago, and I gave
Where
you my
you were
whole
supposed to
thing,
sell yourself?
and you were sitting there reading the goddamn New York Times?
yeah.
Like,
So he he looked impressed, but he was a guy that wasn't ever impressed, even if a guy won a national championship.
Yeah.
That's just how he was. So he was really hard to read. Next week, he emails me. He's like, "Hey, I want you in my office tomorrow." I was like, "Oh, great." So
listen, your
nope.
jumps were really good, but that shot put just,
Yeah.
I just can't bring you on, man. Your shot sucked.
So he calls me into the office. I go there and I'm like, great. So this is probably the make it or break it meeting. Like,
Uh-huh.
he probably made his decision from that meet.
Right.
And he's like, here's the deal. We've got one spot for pole vault. Brendan, who was the other guy I was competing with for the spot, he's like, Brendan, you both have a lot of potential, and it would really suck to like have to pick between the two of you. And I was like, yeah, like it costs no money to you. Why can't we both be on the team? Was my thought. Like, there's no scholarship here. We're both doing it just because we want to do it. And he's like, well, have you ever done decathlon? It's like, yeah, I did it in like my sophomore, junior year in high school. I was okay at it. Like, I'm skinny, like shot put's kind of heavy, and I'm not very tall, and high jumps not
Kind of high.
kind of high. He's like, well, I'm offering you a spot on the team if you take a decathlon spot. If you take that spot, Brendan stays on the team as the pole vaulter. I was like, all right, I really just like pole vaulting, but what's in it for me? He's like, dude, you get all the gear. You get like 10 pairs of shoes for free. You get all this gear. Like, I was like, 18 free stuff? Yeah, I'll take it. So, I signed on as a decathlon.
That doesn't even almost make sense. Like, I didn't, if you would have said what thing would have 0 walk-ons, decathlon would be like, well, obviously they don't have any walk-on decathletes. Like, I feel like that's like the top of the top, like freaks.
I mean, I feel like every event in track, it would be pretty hard to find somebody who would just walk on and be successful. Maybe the mile and 2 mile, like you might get somebody who just loves running, but like.
But even then, like those guys are.
They're so competitive.
It's
at that
so
level.
different.
So competitive. Like, yeah.
Like, oh, what do you run, a 420? See ya, I'm about to lap your ass.
Yeah, but I would have a really hard time seeing anybody just walk on. I would have a hard time seeing anybody walk on for any of them and be, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's 10 of them.
Yeah.
How about all of them?
Yeah. So here I am, D1 Arizona, Pac-10. Made the team. I'm a decathlete.
Yeah.
My training partner is top 5 in the nation. So like, it's me and him. Like, there's him, and then there's me.
Similar builds?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No, I mean, I think he was like 6'2", all muscle, like fast, like freak, like Doug Sells. He was Doug Sells.
Yeah.
Nice guy. Like, him and I became really good friends. The only bad thing is I couldn't push him. Like, I was usually the one like trying to get people to come up with me. Now I'm trying to catch up to him.
Right.
Like, we would do sprints, and I thought I was fairly fast. Like, yeah, no, I was not fast.
Couldn't even hang.
Nope.
You know what? That's a great experience. Is like, you know that, like, statistically speaking, if you're a male sprinter and you run under like 13 seconds, you're fast. That's like the top 5% kind of thing, right? But like from 13 seconds to 9.58 seconds, like that gap. If you're anywhere in there, like if you're an 11-second 100-meter runner and you run up against somebody who's a 10.7, you feel like you're just getting blown out of the water. Like, it doesn't even feel like it's close.
I was high 11s. he was low to flat 11s.
Yeah.
But that is a big distance when it comes to 100.
Yeah.
His mile was a sub 5. So
See, that's crazy to me.
yeah. I mean, I wasn't too bad. My 1500 was like a 505 or a 508, which is pretty good. But when it comes to college, that's terrible.
Right.
Pole vault, I didn't really focus on because I had it
You
down.
knew how to do it the
I
best.
knew how to do it. So my pole vault actually decreased when I was in college and actually got better, which kind of sucked. But yeah, I was training with him and working on throws mainly. Because like that's
got to get good at the shot and the discus.
Shot, discus, javelin, because I had never really thrown javelin.
You went to college to be a pole vaulter and wound up being a fucking thrower.
No. So first indoor meet.
Spot.
Okay. So first indoor meet, I get to NAU, Northern Arizona, because at Arizona we don't have indoor track. Like
Right, because it's nice. Why would you?
We train outdoors, so we can't.
Because it's 700 degrees.
Yeah.
Right. So we can't train indoors. We train outdoors. So like, if you don't know track, the indoor track is a lot smaller than the outdoor track.
It's so much fun. Like,
and it's banked.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, if you ever get a chance, if you're an athlete and you get a chance to do like a 200, which is a whole lap, I think, on an indoor track, like, just go out and do it. It's so much fun to run on that bank.
Yeah. So my first indoor meet, my coach is like, hey, like, there's no heptathlons going on right now. Like, I don't want you to get into heptathlons yet. We're just going to use this to build you into spring where we'll get you into decathlons. It's like, cool. He's like, so I got you signed up for shot, the 110 highs, discus, and high jump.
Yeah, maybe we should do this. What are the 10 events? We should probably say that.
Yeah. Scaffold.
Yeah.
So decathlon, it's the 110 high hurdles, the 100, the 400, the 1500. Those are your 4 running events, and they sandwich field events. So 2 days, you start with a running, end with a running event. It starts with the 110 highs and ends with the 1500. So just shy of a mile. And then sandwiched in between there is the shot put, discus, high jump, long jump, javelin, and pole vault.
See, that middle group sounds like a lot of fun, but the outside ones don't sound like so much fun to me.
No. So, yeah, you usually work on the ones that you're terrible at because it's all based on points. So you don't compete against people in individual events, because if I was competing against Kyle in shot, Kyle's going to destroy me. But then you hand a pole to Kyle and tell him the pole vault, I'm going to destroy him.
It'll be my high jump distance.
So those two will offset each other. But when it gets to like maybe the 110 high hurdles, since I'm only 5'9", and in college they're above my belly button.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody that's taller can probably make up for my speed. So you work on things to try
find
to get
those points.
Yeah.
Where we can get the next 20 points, right?
Yep. So yeah, first indoor D1 college track meet, I am doing shot put against
shot putters,
against full ride shot putters. I'm holding on to this shot put with 2 hands because it's like wanting to fall out of my hands. Looking at the shot putters next to me, like looking up at them, and I'm in line. And I remember one guy, he looks down at me and he's like got it palmed in one hand, just standing there. He looks at me and goes, "Decathlete?" I was like, "Yep." He's like, "Cool."
I'm not a small person, right? I'm 6'2" and 200 and whatever pounds. I've been between 200 and 260 pretty much my whole adult life, right? And I've got a picture of me on a podium at a big meet, and I got like second place or something. And the dude who got 4th place, so he's on a step lower on the podium, is taller than me. Like thrower, I was a very small thrower at 6'2" and 200 and whatever pounds, you know?
Yeah, and I'm 5'9".
Mm-hmm.
I think at the time I was 160, 165.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
like a child.
Yes. Yeah. So
I bet your fans were like, "Oh my god, I bet you that guy's a freak."
Yeah. He must
probably
be
so good.
Yeah, so there's the lines. Like I remember throwing in decathlons in high school, the lines, you're like, oh yeah, you throw it after, like, okay, I hit the second line. I want to get to the third line, like close to it. I wasn't even close to
because the line doesn't start till 50 feet or whatever.
I wasn't even close to the first line. Like I would get up and I would just slide step and throw it, and like I'd walk off and be like, oh, this is embarrassing. Like I go from one of the best athletes in my thing to by far the worst. That's a real humbling experience, but that's where I was talking like
Their measurement tool doesn't even go that short. They got to adjust it. Like, what the fuck are we supposed to do? We just measure from this line. Oh, just go backward. It's like,
so I just remember walking off, like shaking my head, like not even wanting to hear what the distance was. And one of the guys pulls me over and he's like, "Hey man, like you're doing good."
Yeah.
I was like, "Thanks, man." Like that's what's cool about track. Like I said earlier, like you don't compete against each.
Right.
I mean, you do, but like I wasn't there to like my coach didn't sign me up to shot because he thought I was going to win the meet.
right.
You know, I think every sport or every activity kind of attracts like a certain psychology or whatever, but most of the monstrous shot putters I ever met were just the sweetest dudes.
Yeah.
They usually are like, they're bigger and stronger and faster than everybody, so they don't have anything to...
No.
They don't have anything
They're
to
usually
prove.
goofy guys. They're the life of the party.
Yeah.
Like everywhere you go, like everybody like...
Yeah, so if there was an event that you were going to go to and get crushed, that's probably the best one.
Right. So then I go over to the 110 highs. Yeah, or it's not 110 highs. I can't remember what the distance is in indoor, but I mean, they're the high hurdles above your belly
Yeah,
button.
70 or something.
Yeah,
It's short, 60
yeah,
meter.
Yeah, so I just know, I've been training, certain number of steps between. Come out of the block, the gun goes, come out of my block.
And you're like, oh shit, there's a hurdle here already.
I'm like, there's a hurdle. Holy crap, it's right there. Get over the first one. I was like, all right. But then I land. It's more like a high jump for me. So instead of like sprinting over it, I like sprinted to it and then jumped.
Yeah.
Then my timing was all off. So then I was like, oh crap, everybody's almost done with the race. I'm coming up to the second hurdle. And I go to jump over the second one. My trail leg catches the second one. I stumble, hyperextend my knee, face plant into the third one. Just stand up, look around. My coach is like, go. I was like, no, coach, I'm done. I walked off in the middle. I didn't even finish my first hurdle race. My coach is like, what was that? I was like, dude, I tweaked my knee. I'm sorry, I couldn't finish it. And he's like, can you throw a disc? I was like, yeah, I can throw a disc.
Let's go do it.
So I go over, I throw a disc. Yeah, that was just like shot put. Like I'm trying to didn't realize that there's a certain way that the discus spins off your hand. I'd never thrown disc until like I was doing it backwards when I was doing.
Letting it go off your pinky.
Yep.
Yeah.
Letting it go like when I was doing decathlon in high school, I was letting it go off my pinky, and then I start training it like no, it goes off your index finger.
You're supposed to push it.
Yep. So, yeah, I needless to say, I once again didn't reach the first line, and all the people are standing. It's kind of like in baseball when that kid comes up to bat and the catcher steps out in front of home plate and goes, everybody bring it in. Like I walk up and everybody that's out there trying to mark where it lands
Just starts walking.
starts running because it's so much further in than what they're used to.
Okay.
So
I have a quick atmosphere question.
Yeah.
So every one of the indoor meets I went to was one of two types of indoor facilities. Either like super austere with like just not, there's no seating, there's nowhere for anybody to be.
track was right against the wall.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because the other one is Coliseum style, where they've got like super steep seats all the way up, uncomfortably high, and
I think there were probably like 6 bleachers, but it was like.
Yeah, so not a lot of room. You weren't doing it in front of 3,000 people or something.
No.
That's good. That's a good first day.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
good
doing it in front of a Division I athletes.
Yeah.
Yep. And coaches and all that. So, yeah, and then get the high.
Did Washington happen to be there?
No.
Because I would love for that coach to just be there and like Happy Gilmore style, like he's just looking at you like, I knew you sucked.
Yeah. No, I don't think UW was there. It was NAU, I think ASU. There was a couple other schools.
Local.
Yeah. It was like the first meet of the year.
Yeah.
But we go to high jump, and I remember asking the official, "What's the starting height?"
Oh God.
He's like 6 foot. Can we make it 5'10"? He's like, "Why?" I was like, so I can at least touch it.
Decathlete?
Yeah, because I can't. And I think it ended up, I know heighted.
Yeah, they're going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I know height and high jump, but it was more like work on the form, try to reach, get up, and yeah. So
I fouled out at a meet in Rhode Island that was just a hammer meet, and it was all the biggest hammer throwers, and it was like the meet had just been arranged so the coaches could get together and compete with each other, and I went and fouled out and my team lost.
Oh, no.
it's going to happen.
So yeah, it was my first college track meet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, yeah, like I said, humbling.
Were the discus throwers super mean to you? Were they like, you did terrible?
No, but there were some snickering. I mean,
Yeah,
it's pretty comical to watch a small guy in a big guy's event try to. I mean, I can't even say I was competing. It was more of a practice.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was nice because, like, you can practice, but like, if you foul, you foul. Like, if you foul in practice, like, you can still measure it. Like, but
There was a guy who did a study on like body shapes for Olympic gold medalists and shot putters, and he just had this chart that was like, you know, there was like the 1904 Olympics or whatever, right, where the guy who won was like 5'9" and 165 pounds, all the way up to like Ryan Krauser at 6'8" or 6'7" and 340 or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know if we're getting better at throwing shot put, but we're certainly getting better at finding shot putters.
right.
You know, like the body matters.
Yeah, I did. I mean, if you're not built for it, I mean, it's, what is it, 16?
Yeah, 16 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, that was a tenth of my weight.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to throw.
Yeah.
I mean, a 16-pound bowling ball
Yeah.
wears on your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and all you're
Swinging
doing
it
is
underhand.
fucking rolling it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine picking that bitch up and chucking it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and the shot putters would throw it further than a bowling lane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you don't do it right, it messes your shoulder up too.
Mhm.
So, like, technique, mainly what I was working on was technique. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to score points in shot put. I found that out, but I need to get an extra 10 or 20 points by working on it.
Yeah, again, like we talked about before, right? Getting to that first bar, like, is pretty easy. Like, making progress after that can be pretty hard.
Yep.
So wherever that first bar is for you, it's definitely worth the effort, especially in decathlon.
Yeah, so javelin wasn't too bad for me. It's just a little bit of an arm positioning compared to throwing a football. Instead of like coming over, it's a more of a through throw,
Yeah.
but it's still the same torque that I got. So that was one of the few throw events that I actually did decent.
Did you hit the line?
Oh yeah, I hit
Nice.
the first one. But at least I
Nice.
hit the line.
Did you cheer? Coach, I hit the line.
Fist pump?
I hit the line.
Yeah.
And he's
No,
like, oh, dear God.
My coach wasn't paying attention. He had this like nationally ranked guy. He was
Yeah,
like
that's
walking
cool.
around.
Yeah.
Like he would hand time like everything and like.
Did he
write
call
stuff
you
down.
like Chad all the time? Like, didn't even.
No, because the guy I competed with was Chad,
Oh. So you
or practiced with. I shouldn't say competed with, but yeah, I think he ended up taking second that year in nationals or third, and
That's
then
pretty impressive.
was the first person in like 20 years to win back-to-back national championships. He
Yeah.
beat Troy Hardy, who ended up being like top in the world,
Yeah.
going to the Olympics. I think he got a bronze or silver. So I trained with like literally one of the best guys in the world in decathlon.
Yeah.
So it was really tough to be the person like if you watch races, like there's a rabbit. I was trying to be the rabbit, but I wasn't fast enough to be the rabbit. I was more like the squirrel. So, yeah, no, he was a super cool guy. He would really help me out. I mean, just a gifted, big, strong kid that could run and jump. So, yeah, so we did indoor meets. I did terrible in all of them. Like it definitely mentally started getting in my head. Like, was this the right choice?
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm not having fun. Like I went from, like we were saying, Shelton's track program was fun.
Yep.
Like literally I looked forward to practice.
Yep.
To, oh man, class is over. I got to go 2 miles on my bike to go.
Yeah, and we've talked to a couple of college coaches, and they're like, you better love the sport.
Yeah.
Because all that shit, it's not really there anymore.
Yeah.
Like it becomes a job.
Yeah.
Like you better love the job.
Yep. Well, and the thing that really kind of opened my eyes to like the monetary like thing about college sports was, even though I was on the team at the beginning, I still didn't get free stuff. Like I was still running in my high school spikes, all that stuff. And I was at practice one day and my coach came up to me and he was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Practicing." He's like, "Yeah, no, like your spikes, they're Adidas." Like, "Yeah, they're my high school spikes, coach." He's like, "They have to be Nike."
Go buy Nike.
I was like, "Coach, I have no money." He's like, "Okay. Well, come to find out, if I would have been seen by Nike apparently Arizona could have gotten fined
Sure, yeah.
because they're under a full
Yeah, it's a
Nike
big deal.
Yeah,
Right.
full Nike sponsorship. So next day I got an email from him. I had to go to the gear checkout at the McHale Center. So I go over there on my bike and I pull up.
The neighbor's bike.
Yeah, my neighbor's bike, the dorm bike,
Yeah.
whichever bike was unlocked.
Uh-huh.
So I go over there and I'm on my bike and she's like, the lady's like, can I help you? I was like, yeah, I got an email supposedly. And she's like, just a sec. Oh yeah, here you go. Lifts up a bag and puts it down. It's like a duffel bag. It's like, oh, cool. I open it up and there's like brand new Nike boxes of shoes, like trainers. There's some spikes and stuff in it. And then like some shirts that Arizona Track and Field like stacked on top. I was like, cool. I was like, thanks. Do I need to sign anything? She's like, no, you're good. Because she looked at my like student ID card or something. I go to turn away. She's like, wait, that's not it. It's like, what? She turns around, grabs a big duffel, throws it up, and then grabs some more boxes. Like I had like a pile of stuff. I have no clue how I'm going to get across campus on my bike.
Gonna have to steal a second bike.
Right. tie it like a
Side by side.
quad bike.
You go out looking for like, is there any tandems out here?
Right.
Anybody got a sidecar?
Yeah, so I didn't really think about it. Like when you told me like you're gonna get a bunch of stuff, like I was thinking over time, but no, like that day I got my javelin spikes, I got my long distance spikes, I got my sprint spikes, my jump spikes, like my throw shoes, my backpack, my warm-ups, my travel suit, my like everything. Like I'd never gotten free stuff in my life, and I have this pile of free stuff. I don't know how to
And
get
now
it back.
you got too much free stuff.
Now I got too much free stuff and don't know how I'm going to get it back to. So I can't remember what. I think I borrowed a cart. I got the cart. I'll go over and each wing there's a for the sports and they have locker rooms. So each team has a locker room. I remember just pounding on the track locker room because I didn't have a combo yet to go into the athletes' locker room, and somebody opens the door and recognized me. He's like, well, what's going on? I was like, I just got all my gear and I don't have a way to get it back. Can I stash it in here? He's like, yeah. So I go in. There's leather seats, big screen TV in this locker room. I'm like the athletes would sneak in the morning of basketball games and watch the basketball game on the TV in the basketball arena because it was such a sought after sport to watch.
So you've been in the program for months.
Yeah, this was probably close to October, November.
Yeah. So you've been in the program for months and you just now like finding out there's facilities that you get to use.
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
It's not even he isn't allowed to use it yet. Like he snuck in,
right.
had to steal a bike and then sneak into the locker room.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd been in the weight room, like the athletic weight room. It's really cool how they have it set up there. You walk in, it's like Arizona Athletics, and it just big double doors opens up, and it's study hall classrooms on either side. They have tutors in every one for specific subjects. You could sign up for them and they would set them up, and then you go up and to the right was like their training facility. So like rehab and all that stuff. The weight room was in there, like almost like what we have at the high school now, like squat racks, just right down, clean racks right off of them. But then what was really cool was on the back side, they had a sand pit. So if you wanted to strengthen ankles and stuff like that, you can train in the sand pit. They had AstroTurf to run on turf. All the athletes, football, basketball, everybody worked out there. So like track and basketball would work out right next to each other. So Lute Olson, the famous basketball coach, I would see him.
Tell him he was doing a bad job. Be like, if you could run an offense.
Well, that was kind of a rough year too, because that was the year he got sick or his wife passed away, and then
now I feel bad for picking on him.
Right. And then he took a step down, and that was the year that Arizona didn't make it to the tournament for the first time in 25 years.
I'm going to double down on the joke. If you had your priorities in order.
But
I felt bad to say that.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
Guy I worked out with a couple times, he guaranteed doesn't remember, is the kicker, and I can't even remember his name, so that makes it even better. He was I think drafted by the Cowboys and then kicked for the Patriots. I'll think of his name later. But yeah, it was really cool. I saw some really top-notch athletes and got to work out with them. And I got to sneak into locker rooms but yeah, I got my gear, started doing all that, going to meets. Then
You're like Rudy. You're like Rudy with a better high school career.
except everybody cheered for Rudy. It was more.
Yeah, but he had to like sneak in. He was like sleeping in the janitor's closet and shit. He had to sneak in through a window.
I guess
kind of you, dude.
Yeah, I did camp out, study outside the coach's office a couple times,
Stealing bikes and shit.
but they didn't chant my name.
That's going to be the title for this episode: Chris Smith Bicycle Feed.
If you're missing a bike.
Yeah, you know who to talk to. Yeah.
So, indoor track meets were definitely an eye opener. Then we got into outdoor, and I didn't really compete in outdoor meets except if ASU was involved, because everybody was on board to try to beat ASU. Like nobody likes ASU that goes to U of A. But then, like I said, track is a really kind of tight-knit sport. So even if you were at ASU, we're all pole vaulters. We all just like fling ourselves up in the air over a bar. And, so I actually met some pretty cool people, and competed my first decathlon. It was a home meet, and like Nebraska, it was a big like Southwest US, so Kansas was there, Nebraska, we were there, California schools were there. It was really cool. A couple meets, I was able to see Alex and Andrew compete,
Oh yeah, that's fun.
when they were at Cal. But didn't realize that when you get up in top tier decathlons, that they have two decathlons going on at once. There's the guys that matter, and then there's the guys that are on the team. I was on that second group. My teammate was on the first group, so like we would stagger start. So like he was events ahead of me when I was competing. So met a couple of really cool guys from Nebraska. They were helping me with some of the events that I wasn't very good at, and I helped them with pole vault and long jump. So ended up doing all right. Scored a decent amount of points. Can't remember what it was. But then the rest of the season, I just basically just did the same thing, just regular track meets, doing stuff that I sucked at just to get better. Then we'd had our three-way meet against Arizona and NAU, and I vaulted there, did decent. I think I did long jump, did decent. And then we ended up, Arizona won the meet. So that was, I wore it to practice before. My Arizona shirt, that was our shirts we had made for the three-way meet. So that was pretty much the end of our season, and I was starting to realize that I was tired. I wasn't having the energy that I normally had. My lifts total started to drop for no reason.
So, wait, oh shoot, I lost it. Never mind. I had a question there before we got into the decline. I was like, oh, you said you didn't remember what your points total was that you got your best performance.
I can't remember.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious about how far up the mountain you made it.
It's so far long ago that I'm sure you probably can't even look it up. All that stuff's purged.
I have the same thing. People ask like, how far did you throw? I'm like, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I don't even know how high. I know I maybe went right around 15.3, 15.6 is all I vaulted in college, which wasn't an improvement. I mean, practice I did better, but like it only matters in meets.
Along the way, did you mostly train with Chad, or was there times where you like made best buddies with the shot putters and the long jumpers, and like where you spent a lot of time with them, just like trying to focus on something?
Chad and I mostly competed or trained together because we had a very strict, like, this day we work on these three.
It's real important to manage the fatigue, right?
Yep. Yeah. So we're working on like throws this day, but they're not like all out throws. We're just working on like maybe just
hitting
the last, just the last little bit, like getting your hip turned for shot. And same thing with this, just like working certain things, and then like the next day maybe some sprint work to keep our speed up, and then cardio to work, that 1500 time and all that stuff. So Chad and I mostly worked out together, but like when we would go over, like it wasn't uncommon for the shot put guys to be over there throwing shot with us, and then they would help us. The shot coach would help us. because our decathlon coach was also the jumps coach. So he had his other guys he had to coach as well. So
and being an expert in 10 events is almost impossible.
Right.
Like, it's hard to be an expert in one event.
Well, he's a I can't remember. He was a Pan American Games, like bronze medalist in heptathlon or
so
something like that. So
he was pretty proficient.
Yeah, he was pretty proficient.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're getting towards the end of the season and
just running out of gas.
Starting to run out of gas. We get to a small meet in Mesa, Arizona, Mesa Community College, and coach is like, yeah, you can pole vault like that. That'll be the only thing. Well, we had gusts of like 30, 40 miles an hour. I'm not going to pole vault. I'm not going to go up in that much wind gust. So I pretty much just sat there, and it was actually kind of nice to just sit and not do anything. Like I was feeling tired and fatigued. And one of my best memories of all of college track was I was sitting watching the kids that actually decided to pole vault, and the steeplechase is going on behind me. If you don't know what the steeplechase is, that's the one that they run, jump up on the bar, and then there's a water thing afterwards. And
water trap.
It's the event that makes the most sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there with my back to the water. Water's like 5 feet behind me, and they're running. I can see them out of the corner of my eye running, and you hear just the splash of their foot hitting. Splash, splash, splash. And then all of a sudden I hear plunk. I turn around as the water's starting to settle. I was like, what was that? And like literally like a monster coming out of the water. This guy comes exploding out of the water. And what happened was he slipped and face planted and couldn't get his footing in the water, and finally got up, and he was just out of breath, and he just goes running out and just keeps running.
It's such a weird race. Like, is it 3,000 meters? Is that what this? And so it's long, right? It's almost 2 miles, and you're wet after the first lap, and
because you have to touch the water. You can't jump over the water.
Yeah, and a lot of people running that distance wouldn't want to wear spikes because they hurt your feet. But then you want them so that you can hit that wooden barrier and not slip and eat it, and so like it's a weird event. Just the only one where you jump down into a hole,
so
filled with water.
It's
such a weird fucking thing.
So that was the meet. I met Dan O'Brien too. He was gold medalist decathlete. He was I think he may still volunteer coach at ASU. Super humble guy to talk to. He's the infamous guy that no-heighted in pole vault during decathlon. He was supposed to win the whole thing and ended up no-heighting in pole vault. So him and I kind of had something in common. His was at a little different level than my no-height, but it was really cool talking to him and listening to him talk about like adversity. Like, I had sponsors expecting me to do big, great things. I know I lost my sponsors like overnight.
Yeah, before the meet was over. Like, you got a text on your phone that's like, hey, it was nice working with you.
It might
Good
have been, I think that was back before text, but.
Yeah, it probably was.
Yeah, but.
Definitely
fucking
was.
Raven came with a note.
A raven with a note.
Yeah, like, I mean, there were like commercials about him. Like he was the it guy when it came to track, like Usain Bolt was a couple years ago, and Felix the hurdler. She's like the it person for track. He was the it guy.
Right. Wheaties box.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he I didn't lost it all, but then he came back and ended up winning gold. It's a couple years later, but that was a really cool guy to talk to, because mentally I probably wasn't in the greatest place. I think the only time I had come home was for Christmas that year. Every now and then I'd call my parents. I mean, I was busy, like practice, all that stuff.
Right.
I had my girlfriend there. I mean, but still, mentally it was draining. And physically I just started to really decline, and I couldn't figure out why. I was asked by my coach to compete at Pac-10's championships in the decathlon, and I was super excited. And like the week or two before, I tweaked my hamstring, and it wasn't like a full pull, but I was in the trainers, and they're like, yeah, we like don't know how long it's going to be until you're going to be full speed. And I was like, well, I can't go to Pac-10s then. So I was in the trainers. Excuse me. I was in the trainers a lot, trying to work that out, get that fixed. And I it was night and day from one week to the next. I went from like really excited to go to Pac-10s to like not wanting to even hardly wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Like my body was it was almost like I'm
shutting down.
Yeah. Couldn't figure it out. I ended up going and talking to one of the athlete doctors. I was like, hey doc, like this is going to sound weird, but like I have absolutely no energy. Like
Yeah, I think I'm dying.
Yeah, I have no appetite. Like all I want to do is sleep. Like my mind, like I've literally been training since freshman year in high school, like almost year round. And I don't even want to get up to even jog. And he's like, well, we're going to do some blood tests. So I ended up going the next week, go get my blood drawn. And I've had way more blood drawn in my life. And I remember I didn't have the energy to get on my bike.
Yeah.
To ride back across campus.
Not even the thrill of the steel would get you going.
Right? Yeah, I couldn't even get my adrenaline up.
Stole the doctor's bike.
Yep.
Nice ass bike.
So I ended up just walking. And about halfway, I almost lost consciousness and ended up finding a bathroom, throwing up. I literally sat on the bathroom floor for probably a half hour until like my body finally got better. Got back to my dorm room. I didn't go to class the rest of the day. Took a nap, woke up, drank some water, fell back asleep, and I didn't wake up till like 11 o'clock the next day. My roommate was like super scared that I was like dying.
Yeah.
He's like, what did they do to you? It's like, they took some blood. And he's like, all of it?
How many pints? Like
Dr. Acula.
A gallon?
Did you go to the right building?
I don't know. But yeah, that's when I started realizing that like there was something probably going wrong. So the guy I walked on with, Brendan, him and I ended up deciding we were going to room together because like since we're both athletes, it'll make it really nice that like we're both going to be kind of around.
You know what the schedules are
Yep.
and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So I go home for summer. I come home, I'm working at the resort here and I'm serving, I'm around food all day, but one day I once again have no energy and realized that I hadn't eaten in 4 days. I had no appetite. Like I wasn't even hungry and I was trying to remember the last time I ate.
Right.
Yeah, and doing like the mental calculus of like, I had a snack in the car. What day was that?
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
yeah. So it was pretty bad.
That was February.
Yeah. So I remember I ordered, I wasn't hungry, but I was like, this is scary. Like knowing like how I was at school, like everything, like you need calories. Like,
Right.
Yeah, people should want to eat, and especially like, you know, anybody who's trained knows that training's a great appetite stimulant, right? So like if you're going through all your sport and everything and not eating, and then you come home, you're still not hungry, like that's probably not a good sign.
And I was still running. I was still like trying to stay in shape because like I got my sophomore year. Like I competed, so I didn't redshirt.
Right.
So like I still have my sophomore year. So I'm still trying to stay in shape. And trying to force food. Food just I couldn't eat. It's kind of like when you're full and then you try to eat more and you're just like, oh, there was nothing I could do to really get my appetite there. And then I didn't realize it because you look at yourself every day in the mirror.
Yeah, you don't see the changes.
But my now wife, who was working with me at the time, didn't recognize me because I had gotten so skinny. So I was 165 pounds, like right at the beginning of outdoor. Halfway through the summer, I was down to 135.
Oh.
Yeah, I lost a lot of weight. Started having some like stomach issues as well. Really.
Ozempic weight right there, dude.
Right? Yeah. Well, 130 on me does not look good. Yeah. So I couldn't figure it out. Started going to some doctors. Had some other issues that were coming up.
Did the blood test ever come back? I think you might have just give blood to the wrong guy.
No, so it came back. So they were testing for like your typical like flu stuff and all those other things.
Typical college diseases. Like, does he have more blood than alcohol?
Right.
Like...
But I never drank. Like
right.
Herpes, gonorrhea.
I didn't drink till 21. So it wasn't like I was like doing extracurriculars outside of sports and stuff to really drain my energy.
Right.
Like, it was just like my body was like, you know what, we're done. So going through summer, I ended up going to some doctors, and they're like, well, I think you just need a break. Like, your body just needs a break. So
some real good fucking doctoring right there.
Yeah.
So after I got hurt, I herniated the disc in my back, right? I had some partial paralysis in my right leg and numbness and
walk it off.
Yeah, I went into I didn't have health insurance, right? So like I'm like, okay, I'll get some jobs, I'll save up some cash, I'll schedule myself a doctor's appointment. I went to the doctor and she's like, it's just a strain, it'll get better, just take it easy. Worst advice.
Yep.
Worst advice ever.
Listen, doctors out there, I'm sure you're great and you got in there and you're overworked and everything, but goddamn, I feel like
poop in a group,
I've
guys.
never fucking been to a doctor and ever got actual help. Fucking zero for puberty.
You got to look at it from a doctor standpoint too. Like, I'm 19 years old, 135, 140 pounds. Like, I'm skinny, but I don't like, I'm not overweight. I'm not. Like,
yeah, they're like, you're healthy as hell.
Yeah. Like,
well, I had the same thing. I went to a physical therapist in like my early 20s for a knee thing, and he was like giving me exercises. He's like, you feel that? And I was like, no, but when I go to the gym, I'll put a couple 100 pounds on. And he's like, I never have trained someone from Krypton before.
Well, that's like,
I don't know how intense to make this.
That's like one of my biology labs. We had a heart rate to see like people, like trying to figure out the class's average heart rate, just sitting. So we took everybody's heart rate. Mine was just pretty much right around the ballpark of everyone else's resting heart rate. And then we were on the 4th floor, and they had everybody run down the 4 flights of stairs and then run back up, and then retested everybody's. And everybody's was through the roof, and mine barely came up. Mm-hmm. So like, I mean, my body was used to working out.
They see you, or like when I came in, they're like, this kid's healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with him.
So there wasn't a whole lot that I could show outside to people that I just knew I wasn't right. And I couldn't figure out why. So like I said, I started getting some other symptoms. And I'm getting to that age that if you start having those symptoms, like you're 40, 50, what's that?
Erectile dysfunction?
No, not that one. Cologuard. So like when you get up in age, like if stuff's wrong with your intestines, like go get it checked out because it could be serious.
Right.
But when you're 19, you're not thinking that.
Yeah.
So stuff starts going wrong, just like every other guy. I'm like, it'll get better. Didn't get better, got worse. Ended up getting back to school, moved into the apartment, and started seeing a doctor down there. And they started doing some more blood work and asking me and x-rays and all this stuff.
Yeah, I think since this is mostly like the goal of the podcast is to give good information to coaches and athletes, right? I've never had a kid, student or athlete, who gained or lost 30 pounds that was unplanned, where it was a good thing.
Right.
Every time it was a massive red flag. Either a huge health issue or like some type of abuse or something, right? Like there's a reason for those kinds of weight losses. Yeah. Like if you'd shown up at 130 pounds, I would have been like, go to the doctor. Yep. You're not coming back to practice until.
Yeah. So I didn't make it to practice. I didn't have the energy. I wasn't in, like, physically, I don't think I could have done anything. So I kept with the doctors. I ended up going to a gastroenterologist, and it was one of the worst things a 19-year-old could ever have is there's a high probability you have colon cancer. I was like, whoa. I'm in Tucson. My parents are all up there. That was a really hard call. Yeah. Like, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, like, I just got some weird news. Like, it's not confirmed, but, like, I apparently check all the boxes for all the
warning signs
of colon cancer. Not a huge, like, it's not in my family, so doctors were fairly optimistic, but, like, most of my blood work came back normal. So I kept in the doctors.
Which sucks. You want your blood work to come back and be like, oh, you don't have any magnesium. Just take some magnesium.
Yeah, that would, I mean, it would have been nice if they could tell me, but it was one of those, like, it could be X, Y, or Z. Like, we don't know.
Yeah. Have you been stealing bikes? This happens a lot with kids that steal bikes. Just stop stealing the bikes.
Yeah.
Was there a bike seat?
Wait, they're supposed to have seats? You've just been destroying your ass the whole time. That's why you were
damn me and my bike thing. Yes.
Sorry. You think you have colon cancer.
Yeah, so that's like worst case scenario. But like when you're told worst case scenario and you're 19, you think it's worst case scenario.
Absolutely.
So like I'm like, oh man, maybe I should have come to the doctor sooner. Like done this because I mean I was just going to like general and it wasn't.
You didn't really have a high sense of urgency, even though it was a months-long problem.
Right.
Yeah. Hey guys, if you have months-long problems, go to the doctor.
Yep. So ended up having to go have a colonoscopy done at the age of 19, which it's not something that is fun, but like it was necessary. I ended up sitting and waiting for I think 2 weeks before the results came back, and come to find out, luckily I didn't have cancer. It was ulcerative colitis. So it's treatable, not curable. There's a lot of professional athletes out there that have it, but I mean, it can knock you down.
Mm-hmm.
I was lucky I didn't have the really aggressive form, but it was to the point that I decided that it probably was best for me to just give up, like competing. Like my body apparently doesn't like that level of.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for like how much stress, like that's the autoimmune disorder, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and so like anything else, right? Like your body has a hard time differentiating stress.
Yep.
Like even if it's productive and healthy and it's good for you.
Good stress is good, but it's still stress.
It's still stress, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
so like even though you're having fun and you're learning a lot and you're doing this process and you're in great shape and all that kind of stuff, it's still a huge amount of stress for your body to deal with. And so if you have an autoimmune disorder that flares up when you are have too much stress or the wrong food or whatever, right?
Yep.
And then I would imagine, I mean, you probably talk about it, but that probably comes with some pretty significant dietary restrictions.
So at the time, still, if you look at it, they say diet and stress aren't causes for it. But I have come to find that my form of it, I can do pretty well if I work on my diet and try to eliminate as much stress as I can.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that it's not a cause, right? But whether it's not a cause or not something that aggravates it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it was a real tough choice. I mean, I just moved in with a guy that we were going to run track together, and he comes in and he's like, "Hey, coach is asking where you're at." And I was like, "Yeah, I gotta go meet with him because I don't think my body can take it anymore."
Yeah.
The coach didn't really like that because, I mean, he's probably never experienced it, but like it was a month long. Like it wasn't like overnight. I was like, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah.
It was like from when I started getting sick to that point, I had been thinking like, is this the end? Like, am I done? And yeah, that was one of the hardest meetings to have, was to tell him like, I appreciate it. Like you went out on a limb, let me walk on. But my body can't take it.
Yeah.
So that was my decision. I did it for my personal health. I've never been back. I haven't touched a pole vault pole since.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to coach, but it's kind of a weird thing.
You did have that like a couple years later. You did stripper pole for a little bit, right?
I did.
Was that you?
I did.
Oh, that wasn't you.
That wasn't me.
Oh, my bad. Different guy.
I have the same thing with coaching throwers. I love track. I like coaching. It's a lot of fun, but there's something about being out there that I still find upsetting.
Yeah.
Which is a weird, it's weird that gear is still there even after 20 years or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I coach at the high school now, football. Love it. I love working with the kids. I've gone and watched maybe 2 track meets since being out of high school.
Yeah.
And it's tough.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those, like, I had great aspirations for myself, but my body didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. And I'm also getting I'm a little too Uncle Rico, you know. I'm like, I could throw a football over those mountains if I had the chance, you know. It's like
I ran scout wide receiver last year.
Everybody falls into that one.
Yeah.
First time they're playing or coaching football.
Yep.
Saying, I'm going to compete against the kids, baby.
Hey,
you always do good. You always do good. And then there's one time where it doesn't go good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have a broken rib. And you got to look tough in front of the kids. Until you get behind the stadium and you're like, yeah, I'm fine, guys.
Sounds like
go check to the hospital. In the hospital, people are like, no, that's good. That's a floating rib. Up here? Like, no, some people have rogue floaters.
She didn't tell you it didn't used to be a floating rib.
It's just floating now.
It will be forever.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it seemed sudden at the time to quit, but it was a process over time
That is an interesting response. Like, so I've got chronic migraines. I've had it since I was a kid, and it's pretty well managed now, but it wasn't until I was like 31. So like it kind of ran my life from like 11 to 31. There was a 20-year span where I was just in a huge amount of pain all the time.
Yep.
That was just my day-to-day. Like a good day was like feeling like leaning on a broken bone, you know, and a bad day was much worse.
Yeah.
And I would tell people, you know, it'd be like we'd be in PE class or something. I'd be like, I can't play any more basketball. I got to take a break, you know, and they'd be like, why? I was like, I got a headache. They're like, get over it. You know?
Right.
And it's weird when you got that invisible disability thing going on.
Yeah, it really is. And so yeah, like my medication, I was on 9 pills a day, like taking 9 pills, and had to stay. I was breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I had to take 3 each time, and just, I mean, they were pretty much an anti-inflammatory, trying to keep your body from attacking itself.
Yeah.
Because that's what ulcerative colitis is your immune system attacks the lining of your large intestine. So, I mean, there's a lot of health issues that if you don't get it under control can cause down the line. So, I stuck it out at Arizona for a couple more years, but I mean, I went there like I wanted a degree. I want that certificate that says I graduated college, but I didn't care where it came from.
Yeah.
I was at Arizona for track. And started thinking the money wise, like I was paying $25,000 a year to go to school down there. Like it wasn't financially like responsible for me to stick it out. So I ended up moving back, getting my degree up here locally. But still was having health issues. I would try to run, do all that stuff. I still just never had the energy to do it. It wasn't until probably about 6 or 7 years ago that I really got it under control. So probably my early 30s. I really tried to get the stress out of my life as much as possible. I mean, life is stressful. Like
you got a family and a job and everything else, right?
Yep. So it's all about managing it. I got a great wife that helps alleviate.
Alleviate.
Yeah, that word.
Yeah, that word.
We got there.
Yeah. A lot of the stress. But I mean, I worry about my kids. I worry about my wife every day. But what really I found helped me was my diet. So I cut out grains and dairy. I tried one each and it didn't really help. I tried both, and I still have flare-ups, but they're not as severe and as long-lasting.
Yeah.
Don't know if that's the cause of it, but I've just found my body does a lot better with it. But like, I don't just not eat anymore. I eat like healthy, like I guess more like nuts, grains, or nuts, vegetables, fruits, all that stuff. So yeah,
normal healthy diet.
Yeah, a lot of meat, steak, chicken.
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised. I had quit eating wheat just because it was easy for me to give. I had a desk job for a while, and I was just like getting bigger. You know, one day I went to tie my shoes and a button came off my pants, and I was like, that's not supposed to happen. And so I got on the scale and I was like 270 or something. I was like, I'm too heavy. I need to lose some weight. And so I cut. Just it's easy for me to do low carb stuff. I don't miss it. You know, like it's easy for me to cut out calories that way. And so I didn't eat any carbs really, like any starchy stuff. You know, I was eating fruit and candy occasionally, but I wasn't eating any starchy stuff for a long time. And then my wife got some soft pretzel rolls for Thanksgiving, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna pass up on that. It's Thanksgiving, and so I ate like 15 of them. And
it's a big shock when you go from not having it to having it.
Yeah.
Because
Because
cheeseburgers are my favorite. Well, they have both cheese and bread.
Yeah.
I eat one of those and I am done for a couple days. Like it's crazy because when you cut it out, your body goes into the opposite. Like it takes a while to get used to all that fiber that you eat, and then your body normals out. Like your body's like, okay, this is what we're doing now.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if you go back.
Yeah. And so I found out two things. One is that it was a migraine thing, like wicked migraines for like 2 weeks afterwards,
really?
nonstop. Yeah. And then two was my eczema. I have like eczema, and it's not really bad, but like I hadn't had any wheat for a long time, and then I ate a bunch of it, and like my hands were like open to the world, like the skin was just coming off, and I was like, what a crazy response to have to eating like some rolls.
Yep.
Otherwise the rest of the diet was all the same. So I tried again at Christmas. I went no starches till Christmas and tried it again. Same response.
That's a tough time.
Yeah.
All the food is starchy.
Yeah. So ever since then I've been off of it, but it's weird the foods that.
Well, and then it's tough because. Like when you go out, like you look at the menu, like, hey, can I get it with like no dairy?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, are you lactose? I'm like, no. And they're like, then why? I'm like, it just messes with me. Like, it's just everybody wants to know, like, are you doing that fad new? Like, are you gluten intolerant too? I was
ever just like point to your butthole?
No. I've never once done that. Have you done that?
Constant. You've never pointed at your butthole?
I can't take them out anymore. We try to go out together.
I do it every third podcast.
It's like those monkeys in the zoo that just walk around with their Monroe just is in the glass cage.
It's probably where I should be. Speaking of Monroe though, because I didn't realize this went on so long. This might break the record.
Yeah.
Longest fucking podcast.
And
nice
and you were worried I was just going to be...
I know, you're fucking long talker. Well, we went off the rails on the bicycle
That's fine.
about 7 times. So at one point in time, this question was going to make sense.
Okay.
We went way too serious. We finished with a lot of seriousness. And so anytime, we have family that live in Arizona, so I always fuck with them about like, it's all like rattlesnakes and scorpions and shit. So, what is the creepiest / scariest creature that you've run across?
This is our random question for the
Monroe's
day.
random ass question. I'll start.
Okay.
Probably camel spider in Afghanistan. Those are some creepy fucking things, and they're always like they come at you like the movie Alien. It's never like a regular or a spider where like, oh, it's over there and I have time to go kill it, right? It's like you're in the desert and it's dark and there's one light source and it like goes in front of like you know what I mean? They're fast as shit and like big. They're not as big as like the internet. There was like the internet sensation where like camel spiders are this fucking big. Right. They're not that big, but they're bigger than any spider that you've seen here.
Yeah.
So camel spider where it was real gross.
Do I need to see the animal or can it just...
Did you hear it?
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. I was going to say something, but yes. Okay, go ahead.
I was out in the woods late at night.
For no reason.
Yep. And pitch black. And I had my windows down on my truck.
Spotting a couple bikes.
Yeah. Looking to steal some bikes out in the woods.
Unload some merchandise.
Yeah. I stole way too many. I need to get rid of a few. But yeah, no, it was a cougar scream. The scariest thing.
They're pretty intense.
Yeah, it's like a female being attacked, like a woman being attacked. Just loudest scream you've ever heard a woman yell.
Can you give it a try?
No.
Can you
try
to mimic?
I can try to find it. You can find them, and it literally sounds like it's most of the time people out camping. They're in their tents and they hear like this girl screaming, but they know they're out in the middle of nowhere where there's no one else.
Then you run to it and it's a trap. It was a trap the whole time.
Well, that's what the male cougars are doing.
Oh.
They're running to it.
Yeah. You actually have the same animal as me. I was going to ask if I could do people, because I have a people story that's pretty funny.
People are pretty scary.
Yeah, but if we've already done cougar. No. It's become a thing where Kyle kind of fucks the question
every time.
Like he skirts the
Every
thing.
time.
So yes, I will not accept cougar or
Okay.
any other cat
unless the cougar's a person.
Yes. Is it a lady that likes young men?
I mean, that has
screaming.
And that was unpleasant. I didn't enjoy it, but I grew up real young, and so I was already like 6 feet tall and 180 pounds, at like 13. The number of times that a woman was like, where you play football at? And they'd reach out and squeeze your shoulders. Like, why are you touching me? Anyway, point of my story.
He was so mad when that happened.
So mad. It gets pretty weird sometimes.
The worst part.
I'm going to tell the cougar story first.
His shoulder is located on his wiener.
That's the worst part. That's the worst part. I'm going to tell my cougar story first. I grew up out on Hartstein Island, and so for the people who aren't around here, Hartstein Island is a great big giant island. It's like 12 miles long, 3 miles wide. There's not a lot of people who live out there. But as a unattended youth, I spent a lot of time just wandering around the woods. And one time I was wandering around in the woods, and I just like saw the tiniest little rustle up in the trees, and I look up, and like it looked like something out of a cartoon. There's like a cougar standing on a tree branch, like a fir tree branch that must have only been like, that big around or whatever, right? And it's just standing up there looking at me, and it's like 400 feet away, way up in the trees. And I like, I don't even know, what I was like. I have no idea what to do right now. Do I just die, or do I?
You should run away really fast and let
That's
it
what I
chase
did.
you.
Yeah. I didn't run really fast, but I did like look at it and then just back away until I couldn't see it anymore. But that was the longest backwards walk I've ever done. But my people one, I got a people one, also on Hartstein Island. I was wandering through the woods, and the brush got real thick, and I was like, determined to keep doing what I was doing. So I pushed through, and I came out of it, and there was like a grip of like 70-year-old Airstream trailers out in the woods there, and I knew the property owner, and I don't know if he knew that those trailers were on his property, but there was also no way to get them in or out. Like, they had been parked there like 70 years ago, and then all the trees had grown up around them, so there was no driveways, no nothing. And I remember like walking out, and there's like campfires going, and people are like walking around doing stuff, and I'm like slowly back in the woods like Homer Simpson, because I wasn't supposed to be there. I don't know what's going on, but it did freak me out as a like 9-year-old kid. Like when you run across like some illegal encampment that just doesn't exist in the middle of nowhere.
It was just old people. The scariest creature you saw was just a group of old people.
They weren't old. The trailers were old.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say old people in Airstreams. They're scary.
Yeah, they can get a little.
Well, that was like
that's
like the disconnect, right? The trailers have been there for long enough for all the trees to grow up around it. So like at least 40, if not much longer, and nobody there was over 25. Or under 17. Like it was just
it was like the hills have eyes.
Yeah. So it was a weird day. No.
Probably way more dangerous than the cougar.
Yeah, I mean realistically,
living in those.
Yeah. Cougars don't care about us.
Not usually.
Nope.
Not usually. They've been pretty chill to me. That one just stayed in the tree. It didn't even do anything.
I've never been attacked by one.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
Have you?
Nope. My dad was.
Except on the shoulder?
Except on the shoulder. My dad was attacked by a cougar.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, he'd been in a really severe car accident, so he was driving for a job interview.
Did he hit the cougar?
No. That would have been funny. He hits the cougar and then gets out to check on it and it bites his face. No, he was driving to a job interview on this little 2-lane road, and a lady going the other way had been following somebody and decided that they weren't going fast enough. And so when they pulled in their driveway, she turned around to flip him off and drifted over into his lane and hit him head on. So she was driving great big giant like a Bronco or something, and he was driving like a 1990 Honda Civic, because this was ages ago. And so it just powdered his knee. Like the biggest part of his knee that was left was like the size of the tip of your pinky or something. And so they had to rebuild his whole knee, and it was like months until he could get out of bed. And, it was probably 9 months till he was really like walking again, It seemed like a long time anyway. I don't know. I was a little kid. I don't remember. But he finally got to where he could get up and move around. And so he called some of his buddies and was like, I got to get out of the house. I got to go do something. Can we go hunting? So they went to Rainier, Mount Rainier, to wherever there was somewhere you could hunt or whatever. And it was deer season, so they were going to go out and get a deer. And so they hiked in, maybe like a mile or something. And he was like, I have dramatically overestimated my capacity to hike, in the brush. So I'm just going to sit on this stump and I'll catch you guys when you come back. He was outdoors guy. Sitting on a stump all day would be fine. He'd be happy to do that. So he's sitting there and he hears like a rustling in the bushes, and he turns around and it's a cougar. And he's like, okay, well, as long as the wind doesn't, and then the wind hits him in the back. And as he's looking at this cougar looks up, charges at him. So he had his rifle and just undid it and shot. and got real lucky and went right through his spinal column and heart and everything. But yeah,
wow.
it had like ducked to pounce. And so it didn't hit him in the head. It hit him in the back of the neck as it was ducking.
Oh, wow.
And so that was his, and then like kind of like slid to his feet kind of thing, you know? Yeah.
So that wasn't your cougar story.
That wasn't my cougar story. My cougar story was just old ladies who
Got you.
drink too much and then get handsy.
All right. If you like this content, check out some of our other episodes.
Yeah.
I think 225 is probably good.
Yeah, I think we're doing good. I think that was great.
Yeah, that's good.
Thanks for being here.
I think
Thanks for
it
having
was
me.
an appropriate amount of time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a good story, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
shit doesn't always work out.
No, and I wouldn't change it,
Yeah.
except financially. That was,
You would have liked to have just gone to Evergreen or something
Yeah.
and saved 20 grand a year.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still paying for it. We're getting there, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's college is expensive, but
Join the military. Now.
Now, do it now.
yeah, no,
Yesterday.
I'm too old.
All right. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Helps out the show a ton. Thank you so much.
They got bikes on base.
Don't tempt the man.